Chapter 2048. Framing. Hee, it's already so late. If a man and a woman are alone together, it'll be easy for others to gossip. But at this moment, a jealous voice drifted over. In the distance, Yuyu and Inuer were strolling over. Greetings, elder sister Yuyu and elder sister Yu. Xianxia Guerre's expression changed as she hurriedly bowed. I don't dare to call you sister. I just hope that you don't do some ugly things behind other people's backs. Inuer said slyly. She stared at Xianxia Guerre with some evil intentions. Lin Ling immediately smiled bitterly. He wanted to say that there was nothing between him and Xianxia Gugu, but it seemed that the more he said, the more discredited it was. Elder sister is right. Gu-er knows his mistake. Gu-er will leave immediately. Xianxia Guerre understood the meaning behind his words. Her beautiful eyes were a little moist, but she still bowed. She just wanted to see the person she admired. That was all. This was her dream. She didn't do anything shameful. Take care, I won't see you off. And Inuer appeared very cold. After all, she also knew that Lin Ling was very outstanding and had attracted the admiration of countless women. However, she had to ensure Lin Ling's safety. She was afraid that Lin Ling would be deceived. I'm innocent. After Xianxia Gugu left, Lin Ling immediately raised his hand and said, I'll be lenient if I confess. Seeing Lin Ling's expression, Inuer and Yuyu both burst into laughter. We do believe in you, but sometimes we don't believe in others. Hearing those words, Lin Ling's heart warmed. He held the two women's hands and looked at the starry sky in the distance. Xianxia Jinren was sitting cross-legged in one of the rooms. Sandalwood was burning in the room and it was extremely quiet. A person was kneeling in front of him. It was Xianxia Zi. Master, you can't. Although Lin Ling and I don't have a deep friendship, how could I harm him? Xianxia Zi raised his head and said, Lin Ling is my absolute opponent in the tournament of young geniuses. If I don't attack him now, I won't have any chance in the tournament of young geniuses. The same goes for you. Xianxia Jinren said with his eyes closed. A jug of wine appeared in his hand. Lin Ling is very loyal to his friends. He trusts you now. Give him this wine of Dharma ignition. The wine of burning law, the wine of burning truth, 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 ultimately turning an expert into a cripple? Master, I can't do it. Xianxia Zi kowtowed. Lin Ling's trump card is very strong. Even I don't dare to casually face that mysterious snake. Otherwise, do you think I would need this wine to harm him? I promise you, if Lin Ling drinks this wine after he becomes a cripple, I will guarantee his safety for the rest of his life. But if you refuse, your hometown, your parents will all die. Moreover, you are in my Xianxia royal family. You can see how my master treats you. You have today, it's all because of my master. Think about it yourself. Xianxia Jinren said lightly. Xianxia Jinren's body trembled. Thinking of the people in his hometown and his grandmother, he finally picked up the wine pot and turned to leave. He was the disciple of Xianxia Jinren, so he had no right to refuse. After Xianxia Jinren left, Xianxia Jinren finally opened his eyes. Treasure? I heard it was left by Li Xiaoyao. If I can get it, my strength will increase greatly in the tournament of young geniuses. I can also participate in the battle of young geniuses. His eyes were blazing with the light of ambition. The next day the sun rose from the east, warming the earth. Lin Ling and the others were notified early in the morning. They went to eat the primeval immortal peaches because the immortal peaches at this time were the best. In fact, Lin Ling had no interest in the immortal peaches at all. He stayed for one more day because of Xianxia Jinren. Everyone once again gathered at the same mountain peak as yesterday. There were tables and chairs there, and the fragrance of peaches wafted out from the top. Several glistening red peaches were placed there. When the primeval spiritual master saw Lin Ling and the others arrive, he personally went to welcome them. TSK, I heard that the primordial immortal peach is the #1 peach in the world. Even the island masters of the spirit tribe's 18 islands covet it. I didn't expect us to have the fortune to taste it. Brother, you're taking advantage of Lin Ling. The spirit tribe crown prince and the black feather princess were a little excited. After tasting this peach they could go back and show off a little. This is the best time to taste this peach. Don't miss it. After inviting Lin Ling and the others to take a seat, the primeval spiritual master smiled faintly and asked Lin Ling and the others to start eating. One had to admit that the primeval immortal peach was indeed delicious. Once it entered one's mouth, one would forget to leave. It smells so good. Yuyu and the others exclaimed in surprise. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. He didn't think much of it because he had tasted even more delicious immortal peaches before. It was just that Li Xiaoyao tasted it back then. As for the spirit tribe crown prince, he was even more exaggerated. Not only did he take a bite, he even licked his fingers and almost licked the core of the peach. Ah! His appearance undoubtedly caused everyone to burst into laughter. After laughing, the primeval spiritual master suddenly looked at the primeval spiritual master. Primeval spiritual master Lin Ling is your close friend. He will be leaving soon. Aren't you going to send him off with a cup of wine? Hearing that, the primeval spiritual master's heart skipped a beat. He raised his head and looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling, on the other hand, smiled slightly. His smile was somewhat sincere. Seeing that, the primeval spiritual master also smiled, but his smile was very forced. Although he and Lin Ling had known each other for a long time, Lin Ling was a person with a true temperament. As long as he was a friend, he would do anything. But now, was he going to frame his friend? Primeval spiritual master, your cultivation is still some distance away from Lin Ling. After Lin Ling leaves, I will guide you well. Don't embarrass me at the genius tournament. At this time, the primeval spiritual master smiled. His words were reminding the primeval spiritual master that as long as he toasted, he would have a meteoric rise in the future. Of course, before you cultivate in seclusion, you should go home and take a look. Don't let your family worry. The primeval spiritual master said again. This sentence was a threat. The primeval spiritual master secretly gritted his teeth. Thinking of his family, he finally took out a pot of wine from the table and poured it for Lin Ling, Yu and the others. Lin Ling's eyes flashed strangely. He felt that there was something wrong with the primeval spiritual master, but he could not tell what exactly it was. In the end, he chose to believe in his friend. Lin Ling, Yu and Yuer, the crown prince of the spirit tribe, the princess of Black Feather, it is my blessing to have met all of you in this life. After today we will meet again in a year. This wine is to send you off. The primeval spiritual master poured the wine and said sincerely to Lin Ling and the others. Lin Ling and the others stood up, holding the wine cup, and said one after another. They had worked together not long ago. Although the time was short, they could be considered as half-comrades. We will meet again in the genius tournament in a year's time. The primeval spiritual master, don't be weaker than me. Lin Ling looked at the primeval spiritual master and said with a tone of challenge. He was not arrogant because he was stronger than the primeval spiritual master. Hearing this, the primeval spiritual master's heart warmed, but various thoughts appeared in his mind. Lin Ling treated him sincerely and treated him as a true friend. How could the primeval spiritual master harm him? Stop, the wine is poisonous. Chapter 2049. Poisoned. This was the most difficult decision he had ever made in his life. The palm of his hand was flesh and the back of his hand was also flesh. However, Lin Ling treated him sincerely. He really couldn't frame Lin Ling. The wine is poisoned? The faces of the crown prince and the others changed drastically. They looked at the wine in their hands in shock. Even Lin Ling frowned. Senior brother, what's going on? From the look on Xianxia Guguer's face, she seemed to have just found out about this. She looked at Lin Ling with worry in her eyes. At this moment, Xianxia stepped forward and knocked the wine out of Lin Ling's hand. I'm sorry, I took advantage of your trust. But this wine is poisonous, you can't drink it. With that, he turned around and knelt before the primeval spiritual master. A master for a day is a father for life. Master's orders, this disciple does not dare to disobey. But to poison my friends, I Xianxia cannot do it. If you want to kill me or behead me, master can do it. As soon as he finished speaking, the mountaintop fell silent. Lin Ling and the rest looked at the primeval spiritual master. Did the primeval spiritual master want to harm them? Obviously, this result was beyond their imagination because they had a good impression of the primeval spiritual master. Ah, Xianxia, you really know how to joke. However, to everyone's surprise, primeval Jinren's face was as calm as an ancient well. He slowly walked out, picked up primeval Jinren's wine jug, raised his head and drank it. Then he asked, "This wine is poisonous?" His words were sarcastic, but everyone saw that the primeval spiritual master was safe and sound, which shocked everyone. The primordial beginning Jinren smiled and came to the crown prince of the spirit tribe again. He took his wine cup and drank it. "This wine is poisoned?" he asked again. Boom. Xianxia's heart exploded. How could this be? Lin Ling and the others frowned. For a moment they were confused. Xianxia, I never thought that one day you would slander my master like this. Xianxia Jinren said indifferently, but his face became colder and colder. Master, I. Xianxia was stunned, he still did not understand what had happened. However, what the primeval spiritual master said next made everyone feel as if they were struck by lightning. I treated you like a son and hoped that you could inherit my mantle in the future. Unfortunately, you disappointed me too much. You were too soft-hearted and indecisive. Fortunately, I didn't believe you from the beginning. Therefore, the wine was indeed not poisonous, but the poison was in the primeval immortal peach. After saying this, the primeval spiritual master's face actually shone with a sinister light. Seeing this, Lin Ling's face turned gloomy. He believed in the primeval sage because of the primeval sage, but he didn't expect the primeval sage to deceive his own disciple. Almost at the same time, Yu, the spirit clan crown prince, and the others all spat out mouthfuls of blood. The blood was pitch black, and when it landed on the ground, it actually burned the earth. Burning law sky poison. Seeing the blood that Yu and the others spat out, Lin Ling's face changed dramatically. The burning law sky poison was a kind of fruit liquid that could burn a martial artist's source of strength. It was invisible and colorless, and even soul power and the power of law couldn't detect it. It was extremely vicious. However, this kind of rare poisonous fruit only appeared in the martial god realm. He didn't expect to see it here. The burning law sky poison's effect was to turn a mortal realm giant into a useless person, and his source of strength would be completely burned. Apparently, the primeval spiritual master had hidden the poison in the primeval immortal peach. With this thought in mind, Lin Ling also sensed that the source of strength in his dantian was bursting with a terrifying power. It spread out from the source of strength, and his source of strength was being burned by the poison. This kind of burning was not painful, and was not as terrible as the severing three corpses, but it was more dangerous. It was like a worm constantly devouring the source of strength. Master Yu? Only then did the primeval spiritual master know that his master didn't believe him at all and had already prepared a backup plan. Father, why are you doing this? Xianxia Guer also exclaimed and looked at Lin Ling worriedly. She worshipped Lin Ling from the bottom of her heart. They have treasures on them, so they can't leave this place. In a year's time they will also be my opponents, so I will kill them if I can. The primeval spiritual master said calmly, with a hint of madness in his words. Lin Ling, I'm sorry I've harmed you. The primeval spiritual master hurriedly said to Lin Ling, feeling extremely guilty. Lin Ling's face was a little pale, but he waved his hand and laughed. It's your master who wants to harm us, not you. This means that I, Lin Ling, didn't misjudge you. Hearing this, the primeval spiritual master was even more touched. As for the primeval spiritual master, he narrowed his eyes. Lin Ling couldn't escape death, but he was still so heroic. No wonder he was the #1 genius of the human race. So what? You're going to die here today? The primeval spiritual master made a complicated seal with his hands and then shouted, Primeval reincarnation. A mysterious force rose from the foot of the mountain. It was the primeval chi. It was said that this power of law was extremely ancient. Although it didn't have any special characteristics, it was very domineering. When the hazy clouds and mist reached the top of the mountain, it formed a white vortex in the sky. It was a shocking sight. At the foot of the mountain, a large number of elites had also arrived. They seemed to have received an order to make Lin Ling and the rest stay here forever. Moreover, they were very excited. It was said that the entire city was looking for Lin Ling. But what if Lin Ling died in the hands of the primeval royal family? This was undoubtedly a great honor. Moreover, this would also make the Divine Marquis Mansion and the North Celestial royal family owe them a favor. Master, no. Seeing the terrifying white vortex, the primeval spiritual master knelt down and went to the primeval spiritual master. Get lost. The primeval spiritual master kicked him away, his face even darker. Lin Ling, what should we do? I don't think I can use the power of law. Moreover, my source of corporeal force is being continuously devoured. Yu, the crown prince of the spirit tribe, and the princess of Black Feather all said anxiously. Life and death depended on this moment. At this time Lin Ling was undoubtedly their backer. Aha, I found this poisonous fruit in a secret realm in the Grand Saint realm. I checked the ancient records and mixed the liquid of Dharma ignition. Once you are entangled by the Dharma ignition poison, no one can cure you. The only outcome is that you will become a cripple. The primeval spiritual master walked forward step by step. Moreover, in Lin Ling's primeval immortal peach, I put the most liquid of Dharma ignition. You, Lin Ling, will go from being the #1 genius to being the #1 trash. Ah. The primeval spiritual master was extremely excited. He could not suppress his murderous intent and reached out with his hand. Master. The primeval spiritual master was severely injured by the kick, but he quickly crawled over and hugged the primeval spiritual master's leg, trying to stop him. You used your disciples' respect to harm others. You are so ugly. But if you want to keep us here, you are still lacking. Umph. Lin Ling's eyes were extremely cold. He stretched out his sleeve, and the small saint turned into a black torrent and rushed out. He opened his bloody mouth and was about to reverse the situation. I knew you had a powerful pet. Unfortunately, I was prepared. The primeval tri-chi of the primeval origin is the path of the Jade Void. Umph. Chapter 2050. Despicable. Seeing this, Lin Ling frowned slightly. The primeval Jinren was one of the giants in the mortal realm. A minor saint should not be weaker than him. Indeed, my Jade Virtual Road cannot stop your mysterious ancient snake. Yuanshi Jinren suddenly said with a cold smile on his face. However, it can delay the ancient snake for 2 hours. Boom. Upon hearing this, Lin Ling and the others raised their heads and looked at the sky. They saw that after the vortex sucked in the little saint, it actually formed a spiral path of laws. The little saint was walking on the path of laws. It seemed that he couldn't break through the spiral path. Amaze. This word appeared in Lin Ling's mind. The strength of a minor saint was not weaker than that of the primeval spiritual being. However, sometimes there was no need to defeat a minor saint. It was enough to keep a minor saint occupied. Without a little saint, how was Lin Ling going to stop the overlords of the mortal world? At this moment, even Yu and the others could see the primeval Jinren's intention. No wonder the primeval Jinren dared to attack Lin Ling. He already had a plan. Lin Ling, you didn't think that you would die here, did you? The primeval beginning Immortal seemed to be in control of the entire situation. But at this time, primeval Lord of Heaven once again stood in front of primeval Jinren and hugged his leg. You dare to stop me? The primeval spiritual master lowered his head and bellowed. A teacher for a day is a father for life. I don't dare to stop you, but I can't watch Lin Ling and the others die in your hands. They trusted me, I can't let them down. Yuan Shixi raised his head and said. For the sake of friendship, you actually gave up your own future. Are you stupid? Get lost. Yuanshi Jinren struck out with his palm, causing Yuanshi Jinren to spit out blood and fly 100 meters away. Yuanshi Jinren stepped forward again, wanting to kill Lin Ling and the others. Lin Ling and the others had lost the ability to fight. They all looked coldly at the primeval Jinren. However, seeing how ugly the primeval Jinren was, the crown prince of the spirit tribe cursed, Old man, you wear human skin but your heart is as ugly as a maggot. Why didn't your father shoot you on the wall? What a foul mouth. I'll kill you first. Yuanshi Jinren had never been scolded so harshly before. His face immediately turned ashen. I cannot let them down. But at this moment, a shadow came from afar and hugged the primeval Jinren again. It was the primeval Jinren. Scram. The anger on primeval Jinren's face intensified. He stomped his foot and heavily injured primeval Jinren, causing him to lie on the ground. I cannot let them down. However, primeval Lord of Heaven quickly got up and hugged primeval Jinren's leg again. From the beginning to the end, he did not make a move, nor did he dare to hit his master. He only used his body to stop the primeval Jinren. Yuanshi Z, don't be silly. He doesn't treat you as a disciple. He's just using you. The crown prince of the spirit tribe couldn't take it anymore and roared. I know, but a teacher for a day is a father for life. Yuanshi Z said firmly. Although he also felt that his master was very ugly, his principle did not allow him to attack his master. Therefore, if he wanted to stop his master, he could only rely on his own life. That's right. You treat me as your master, but I don't treat you as a disciple. If it weren't for your talent, do you think you could have become my first disciple? Primeval Jinren's face did not change at all. Instead, he mercilessly struck out with his palm. Rumble. The mountain shook. Under the palm, all the bones in primeval Jinren's body were shattered. It was as if he was locked to the ground. Seeing this, the primeval Jinren snorted and moved forward again. However, just as he moved, his right ankle was grabbed by an arm again. I can't let them down. It was still the same sentence. He was still as determined as ever. He was still using his life to stop his master. At this moment, Lin Ling and the rest were moved. They treated primeval Jinren as their own brother. Unfortunately, the primeval Jinren did not care. He stomped his left foot and broke primeval Jinren's arm. Then he looked at Lin Ling with a sneer on his face. In his opinion, Lin Ling was definitely going to die. Moreover, so many people wanted to kill Lin Ling but they all failed. He was the only one who succeeded. Thinking about it, he felt proud. Sect leader, kill him. In the distance, the disciples of the primeval royal family were cheering. They were also waiting for a miracle. However, just as the primeval Jinren was about to strike, a figure in white suddenly blocked in front of Lin Ling. Father, don't kill him. That person was primeval Guzi. Seeing this, even Lin Ling was extremely surprised. You are all crazy. The primeval Jinren was furious. It was fine if his disciples stopped him, but now even his daughter was stopping him? Get out of my way or don't blame me for killing you. The primeval Jinren's face was filled with murderous intent. Father, I asked senior brother to invite him here for my own selfish reasons. If anything happens to him here, I will feel guilty. I just want to see my idol up close. I don't want to hurt him. Father, let him go. Primeval Guzi said as she knelt down. Guzi. Looking at the seemingly boneless primeval Guzi, Yu and the others' eyes flickered. They were not so repulsed by this woman anymore. Lin Ling was still standing there. At this moment, his dantian was still burning, causing him to be unable to use his strength. However, he was still a third transformation Wuxia, and he had even severed 3 corpses. His laws and corporeal power source were stronger than ordinary people. In addition, he was very knowledgeable, so he found a temporary way to break it. It was to fight poison with poison, allowing the corporeal power source to burn. However, this required a short period of time. Moreover, there was a method in his memory that allowed him to know that if this liquid was combined with a few heavenly treasures, not only would it not be poisonous, it would also be a great supplement. Father. At this moment, primeval Guzi shouted again. Sigh. The primeval Jinren sighed softly. You know that father loves you the most. Seeing this, primeval Guzi finally smiled. Her father seemed to have compromised. She could not help but walk towards the primeval Jinren. However, just as she walked towards the primeval Jinren's eyes flashed coldly, and he slapped out fiercely, No one can stop me, including you. Boom. That terrifying slap landed on primeval Guzi's body, causing her to spit out a mouthful of blood. She was smashed into the distance, and the blood splattered on her white dress. It was so poignant. Old bastard. The spiritual crown prince and the others were furious. As the saying went, even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. However, the primeval Jinren did not even spare his own daughter for his own ambitions. He was truly insane. You have no right to criticize me. For now, you should take care of yourselves. The primeval Jinren's expression turned colder. He blamed all of primeval Guzi's injuries on Lin Ling and the others. If not for Lin Ling and the others, would his disciple and daughter have resisted him? Your daughter, your disciple, at least they still have their own conscience, but you have nothing. Ugly as a master, as a father, you are truly ugly. At this moment, Lin Ling, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. His voice was like a knife that stabbed into the primeval Jinren's heart, causing his face to twist. Shut up. Chapter 2051. The Yellow Springs Army once again displayed its might. You think I'm here for you? I am here for Xianxia and also for your daughter to fulfill their wishes. You Xianxia Jinren are simply discrediting them. In the end, you will be betrayed by everyone and no one will be willing to be with you. Even if there is, they will learn how to use you and will use you in the future. You will be alone for life. Lin Ling spoke again, his words like a gem. Die. His words seemed to have hit the sore spot of the primeval Lord of Heaven, making him even more murderous. Primeval Heavenly Finger. He pointed a finger at Lin Ling and the spiral laws shot out. The entire mountain peak swayed, and the expressions of the disciples on the mountain peak changed drastically. They didn't think that the sect master would actually use his full strength to kill Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was definitely going to die. Even if he wasn't poisoned, he wouldn't be a match for the sect leader, let alone now. Brother Ling. Lin Ling. Many voices rang out at the same time. Xianxia, Xianxia, Yu, and the others were extremely worried. Do you think I only have a little saint as my trump card? Sorry, I still have a trump card. Lin Ling's eyes turned even colder in the face of the terrifying killing intent. A large amount of light shot out from his chest like a shadow, as if he had opened the door to the ghost world. The Yellow Springs Army had arrived. Protect the Lord. Kill. The Yellow Springs Army rode on the primordial divine crow and charged towards the primordial spiritual master without fear of death. Among them were Lord Pu, Lord Shuiwu, and the others. In the past, because they were too weak, they could only retire in the rainforest. Now that they had become souls, their strength had greatly increased. This was because their strength was closely related to Lin Ling's Yellow Springs flame. You're courting death. Apparently, the primeval sage did not take the army of the Netherworld seriously. He was a LV5 martial emperor, not the Desolation's sons. However, this time he was about to be surprised. The Yellow Springs army held powerful immortal weapons in their hands. They attacked like locusts. Sabers, spears, arrows, axes, all kinds of crazy attacks. Primeval spiritual master's pupils constricted. Rumble. His full power finger was broken, and he was sent flying by the impact of the millions of ancient Empyrean divine crows. He spat out blood and landed in the distant sky. Isn't your dark crow only at the first level of the martial emperor realm? Xianxia opened his mouth wide in disbelief. In the past, yes. But now that he has a peerless immortal weapon, his strength is beyond my imagination. Lin Ling walked forward step by step. Not only was Xianxia surprised, even Yu and the others were surprised. Lin Ling actually had such a powerful trump card? You've got a good plan, Xianxia said. You've suppressed both my minor saints and myself. Unfortunately, you've underestimated my Yellow Springs army. Lin Ling's voice continued to float out, causing the primeval spiritual master's pupils to constrict. He did not expect that Lin Ling was even more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. Kill him. Whoever kills him, I'll make him the head disciple. The primeval spiritual master shouted angrily, causing the experts of the primeval royal family to become restless. If you become the eldest disciple, you might reach the same height as Xianxia. I can do it. Those disciples were tempted. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent when they looked at Lin Ling. No one would miss the chance to become stronger, not even the primeval spiritual master. Otherwise, he would not have taken the risk to attack Lin Ling. Are you all blind? He even used his daughter. Isn't he using you all now? Lin Ling looked at the experts around him and said, although he could use his full strength to a small extent, his strength was greatly reduced. So, it was better if he did not fight. Hearing that, those disciples fell into deep thought. He's poisoned. He's just trying to scare you. If you miss the chance, he will escape. Xianxia said coldly, trying to provoke the desire in the hearts of the disciples. Hearing that, the disciples suppressed their murderous intent once again filled the air. That's right. Lin Ling has been poisoned by the burning magic poison. He will become a cripple in the end. So, why should they be afraid of him? Moreover, even if they could not kill Lin Ling, they did not have to be afraid of Lin Ling's revenge. Because Lin Ling had become a cripple. You're just a piece of trash. How dare you talk nonsense? Our primeval royal family treated you sincerely, but you came to our primeval royal family to behave atrociously. If we don't kill you today, how can we convince the others? Kill him. Those disciples were ready to attack. Moreover, they were lying through their teeth. Hypocrite. Hearing those words, the crown prince of the spirit clan and the others shouted angrily. Lin Ling's eyes became colder. Among the primeval royal family, only the primeval spiritual master and the primeval spiritual master had a good temper. The others were like the primeval spiritual master. You must think carefully. I'm wrong. A ninth stage expert of Wu Sheng's realm rushed over. Senior brother Bai is so fast. We can't let him take advantage of us. The other disciples were not to be outdone. Seeing that, Lin Ling finally exploded his murderous intent. Go to hell. You're poisoned and you want me to die? Those disciples who attacked laughed wildly. They felt that Lin Ling was simply talking in his sleep. But the next scene made them know that this was not a dream. Yellow Spring Army. From Lin Ling's purple palace, even more Yellow Springs army flew out. It was a majestic sight that shocked the heavens and earth. Those terrifying ghost army rode on ancient divine crows and held powerful immortal weapons. When they flew past, a large number of disciples were killed. Blood spilled from the sky and from the mountain top. How terrifying. That mysterious army of ghosts is too fast. Why does he have so many Yellow Spring army? Not good, I'm not killing anymore. Those disciples shouted in horror. They began to believe the words of the primeval spiritual master, thinking that Lin Ling was strong in appearance but weak in reality. But who knew that they seemed to have underestimated Lin Ling? Not killing anymore? However, Lin Ling coldly spat out a sentence. He controlled the Yellow Spring army and chased after them again. Lin Ling, don't go too far. Those disciples were furious. They didn't even touch a single hair on Lin Ling's body. In the end, Lin Ling killed them until they were completely defeated. This was going too far. What can you do if I go too far? On top of the mountain, Lin Ling was like the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. Above his head, there were ghosts floating around. Moreover, those ghosts pounced towards the entire primitive royal family and massacred everything. Save me. No, why are these terrifying things not afraid of the power of law? I'm not killing anymore, please spare my life. Those disciples all begged for mercy. Unfortunately, they couldn't kill Lin Ling, so they begged for mercy. It was already too late. Look at your master. He's watching you from afar because he wants to know if I've reached my limit. However, he's afraid of my ancient divine crow, so he used you guys to probe. Lin Ling laughed coldly, causing the hearts of those disciples to tremble. They stared at the primeval spiritual master and suddenly realized that they were stupid. Chapter 2052. Who could stop him? Die. And now, the primeval spiritual master seized the opportunity to deal a fatal blow. Because the primeval divine crows were scattered and Lin Ling was poisoned. Other than external objects, he was as weak as a mortal. If he didn't kill him, he would miss the opportunity. Primeval dragon elephant Bo Ruo. The mighty power of law came, reaching tens of thousands, causing the entire mountain peak to explode. A colossal dragon elephant appeared in the sky. Lin Ling. The crown prince of the spirit race and the rest were smashed down by the rocks, but they also anxiously shouted. Right now Lin Ling was supporting them. If not for Lin Ling, they would have died long ago. Boom. The terrifying power of law smashed down, causing the ground to explode. The soaring shockwave was shocking, even attracting the attention of the experts in Crystal City. In the sky, the primeval spiritual master panted heavily, looking at the ground excitedly. This time he should be dead. But in the next moment, his pupils constricted. In the dust, a figure appeared, standing there like an undefeatable giant. His cold eyes met the primeval spiritual master's, releasing intense sparks. Who else could it be but Lin Ling? How is this possible? The primeval spiritual master roared. How could Lin Ling block his all-out attack? He didn't know that although Lin Ling couldn't use the power of law, he could use his soul power. With the help of the law of evasion, he easily dodged his law. What a pitiful person. You thought you had everything under control, but in the end you still can't kill me. And I can tell you, if I don't die today, you will die without a doubt. On the ground, Lin Ling softly spat out a voice. Boom. Although the voice was calm, it struck the primeval spiritual master's heart like thunder. At this moment he was a little panicked. Mad God Lin Ling, unless you can kill him 100%, you can't be his enemy. This was a well-known fact in the human world. Originally he shouldn't have provoked Lin Ling, but the treasure attracted him. Moreover, the liquid of Dharma ignition boosted his confidence. But who knew that Lin Ling was more difficult to deal with than he imagined? Inexplicably, he suddenly regretted it. Little saint, come back. While the primeval spiritual master was panicking, Lin Ling shouted again. He had held on until the minor saint escaped from the maze. Rumble. In the sky, a black torrent swam down. It was mighty and mighty, causing Crystal City to shake. With the return of a little saint and the addition of the primordial divine crow, it was clear that Lin Ling was even more difficult to kill. Even he, the primordial spiritual master, was in danger. Damn it. Yuanshi Jinren's face grew paler and paler. He seemed to have failed and provoked Lin Ling for no reason. You cannot kill me. After a moment of hesitation, Yuanshi Jinren extended his right hand and brought Yuanshi Gugu over to threaten Lin Ling. If Lin Ling dared to kill him, he would kill Yuanshi Gugu first. Bastard. Seeing that ruthless action, even primeval lord of the origin started to curse. Could the primeval spiritual master be any more shameless? Lin Ling, let's forget about today's matter. Holding Yuanshi Gugu's neck, Yuanshi Jinren frowned and said, ignoring the curses of others. Pervert, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. How dare you use your daughter to threaten Lin Ling? Lin Ling, don't care about him, kill him. The crown prince of the spirit tribe and the black feather princess shouted angrily. However, Lin Ling frowned. He looked at Yuanshi Gugu calmly and saw deep sadness in her eyes. Yuanshi Gugu worshipped Lin Ling from the bottom of her heart like an idol. However, her father wanted to kill Lin Ling. This made her feel very conflicted. Therefore, she did not know what to do now. However, she still hoped that Lin Ling would ignore her and teach her father a lesson. Of course, it was only a lesson. You have a good daughter. In the end, Lin Ling spat out a few words. He finally decided not to attack. He could not watch Yuanshi Gugu die in the hands of her father. Moreover, he believed that Yu and the rest would not want him to be so heartless. Ah, Lin Ling, you are too soft-hearted. I admit that I can't kill you. However, the tournament of elites is about to begin. By then you will be a cripple. Let's see if you dare to participate. If you do, I will kill you with my own hands. After knowing that Lin Ling did not dare to attack, Yuanshi Jinren was finally relieved. However, he still shouted ferociously. I will definitely participate in this tournament. When the time comes, I will settle all the old and new grudges. See you in a year. Lin Ling stared at Xianxia Jinren mockingly. After saying that, he left with the rest. He did not look like someone who had been poisoned at all. Instead, he looked carefree. For some reason, seeing Lin Ling leave calmly, Xianxia Jinren's face turned extremely ugly. Was he going to let Lin Ling leave just like that? Who is going to stop him? Xianxia Jinren shouted angrily. However, just as his voice fell, the sky was filled with ancient divine crows. They were like an army from hell, sweeping everything away. Help! A large number of painful cries came from the Xianxia royal family. Lin Ling was telling Xianxia Jinren that if he wanted to leave, who could stop him? This arrogant action undoubtedly made Xianxia Jinren's body tremble in anger. Lin Ling was already poisoned. However, their entire royal family was still unable to stop Lin Ling alone, including him. This was undoubtedly a great humiliation. Little Saint. Moreover, although Lin Ling had lost the ability to fight, he would not let today's matter rest. Therefore, he summoned the Little Saint to sweep away the Xianxia royal family. Immortal realm? Let it become hell from now on. Rumble. The beautiful environment of the Xianxia royal family was now destroyed by the Little Saint. The mountains fell, the ancient lakes were drowned, and the red-crowned cranes and chilins were swallowed by the Little Saint. It was quite a mess. Alright, today's trip to the Xianxia royal family has satisfied me. I will take my leave now. After destroying most of the Xianxia royal family, Lin Ling said to Xianxia Jinren with a faint smile. Satisfied. Xianxia Jinren looked at the destroyed immortal realm and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he did not dare to make a move and could only stand there stupidly. Xianxia Jinren, let's go. Lin Ling ignored him and shouted at Xianxia Jinren. Xianxia Jinren was a little hesitant. He could not let go of the shackles in his heart. If he treats you like a master, you will treat him like a father. However, he treats you like an aunt. Why do you still care about old feelings? Moreover, you have already repaid the favor you owe him. Lin Ling said again. Xianxia Jinren finally nodded. Indeed, he had already repaid the favor. From now on, he and Xianxia Jinren were no different than strangers. Then, a primordial divine crow carried him away. Lin Ling, where is my junior sister? However, Xianxia Jinren was still very worried about Xianxia Guer. In fact, Yu and the others were also very worried about Xianxia Guer. This was because Xianxia Guer had saved them before. This girl was actually very kind and even a little pure. She will be fine. Yes. Chapter 2053. He would become a cripple. Rumble. At the same time, the little saint swam back and brought Lin Ling and the others to the distant sky. Watching Lin Ling leave, the primeval spiritual master stood in the sky angrily with a gloomy face. He could only watch as Lin Ling left safely. What happened? Is Lin Ling? Oh no, he's going to escape. Not long after, all the experts from Crystal City arrived. Unfortunately, they were too late, so they all stared at the Xianxia royal family in astonishment. Lin Ling is here. Xianxia Jinren, if you knew that Lin Ling was here, why didn't you inform us? The North Immortal Emperor stared at Xianxia Jinren and complained. Originally, I almost could have killed him, but unfortunately, I still underestimated his strength. The primeval spiritual master let out a low growl. Almost, you piece of trash. Of course, the primeval spiritual master was also very angry, because the treasure was taken away by Lin Ling, and he didn't get anything. It doesn't matter. He has been poisoned by the burning magic poison. He will definitely become a cripple in a year. He has already fallen. Ah. As if he had thought of something, the primeval spiritual master suddenly threw his head back and laughed. Perhaps this was his only consolation. Poison of burning law? This is great. I didn't expect that you, the primeval Jinren, would obtain such a treasure from the martial god realm and poison Lin Ling. The North Deity Emperor and the Deity Marquis were stunned for a moment. Then they burst out laughing. Although they couldn't kill Lin Ling with their own hands, seeing Lin Ling become a cripple still made them feel great. They only left Lin Ling with a year to live. After a year, even if they didn't kill Lin Ling, others would kill Lin Ling. Spread the news that the human world legend Lin Ling has become a cripple. They believed that once this news came out, the mortal world would definitely be in an uproar. Then are we still going to chase after Lin Ling? Someone said suddenly. Chase? Why should we chase? In fact, if I knew who wanted to kill Lin Ling, I would be the first to disagree. Because letting Lin Ling die now would be letting Lin Ling off easy. Letting him fall from heaven to hell before dying would be the greatest torture. That's a good suggestion. I'm looking forward to next year's tournament. I wonder how Lin Ling will react when he is trampled by the 4 great clans? Everyone laughed out loud again. They laughed happily and carefreely. It was actually very easy to kill a piece of trash. However, to let a piece of trash experience the fickleness of human nature and be abandoned by everyone was undoubtedly more satisfying than killing a piece of trash. Lin Ling had turned Crystal City into a mess and caused a sensation in the city. But now he should have received the consequences. Rumors were always the fastest. Like rolling snowballs, they crazily spread out. Human race, devil race, ghost race, and divine race all knew that Lin Ling had become a cripple. Lin Ling was crippled? How could this be? It's said that it's the law ignition liquid. This kind of treasure from the martial god world has yet to be broken. Then Lin Ling's source of power will be burned up. Trash? Haha, interesting. Those who had a grudge against Lin Ling were all in high spirits and were looking forward to it. The Prodigy Tournament was undoubtedly the focus of attention. At this moment, above the chaotic demon sea, Lin Ling and the others did not know that the news had spread throughout the human world. They sat cross-legged with downcast expressions. Because they had been poisoned by the law ignition poison, they could feel that the source of power in their dantian was rapidly disappearing. This feeling was not good. They were all top geniuses of the human world and had long been used to the situation of being above tens of thousands of people. But now they had fallen from heaven to hell. They could imagine that when their relatives, friends, senior and junior brothers saw them again, they would definitely reveal a mocking expression. It's all my fault. Xianxia looked guiltily at the spirit race crown prince and the others. What does it have to do with you? In fact, you didn't know at all. The spirit race crown prince punched Xianxia's chest and laughed. Sigh. Xianxia sighed again. When he looked at Lin Ling, his pupils suddenly trembled violently. Lin Ling was drinking wine in a carefree manner? The spirit race crown prince also opened his mouth wide. Even if he wanted to drink, he should have picked a good time. How could he still be in the mood to drink at this time? Don't look like your parents are dead. This law ignition liquid is actually not bad. Lin Ling looked at them and laughed. Not bad? Xianxia and the others were all stunned. They were about to become cripples and this was not bad? This law ignition fruit comes from the martial god world. In today's world, no one can break it. Lin Ling said. Xianxia and the others blinked. How could they not know this? However, in today's world there is one person who can break it, and that is me. Lin Ling smiled and said. Xianxia and the others narrowed their eyes. The poison from the martial god world, even the ancient giants could not break it, but Lin Ling could? Was he bragging? However, in order to break this poison, you will need a few extremely rare treasures. These treasures have only appeared a few times in the human world. Lin Ling said again. Xianxia and the others sighed. Lin Ling's words were equivalent to not saying anything. In fact, it was probably impossible to break the poison. Fortunately, although the treasures required are rare, they are all in the previous treasure trove. What Lin Ling said next made Xianxia and the others feel dizzy. Could it be that their law ignition poison could be broken? Brother Ling, you mean we won't become cripples? Yu asked expectantly. Not only that, but with the help of the law ignition poison, your strength will increase by 1 realm. Lin Ling began to take out a large number of treasures. One had to admit that if he did not obtain the treasure trove in Crystal City, Lin Ling would have become a cripple. Not only will we not be crippled, but our strength will increase? Yu and the others were overjoyed. However, when they heard the process of breaking the poison, they could not help but smile bitterly. This was because Lin Ling was fighting poison with poison. With the law ignition poison, he burned the power of law and the source of real force into nothingness. Then he was reborn. Ordinary people would not be able to endure this process. Ah, my father, my mother, why is it so painful to burn the source of real force? Xianxia was the one who cried the loudest. Lin Ling could not help but give him a slap. My wife and the others have endured it. What are you yelling for? However, the crown prince of the spirit tribe also began to dance. Black blood flowed out of his body and he became a bloody man. He was in so much pain that he wailed like a ghost. Lin Ling was speechless. Yu and Yue and the Black Feather Princess had all endured the pain. In the end, these two men were in so much pain that they howled without caring about their image. This was simply a disgrace to men. When they passed by the 18 islands of the spirit tribe, Lin Ling threw the crown prince of the spirit tribe out. Now that their poison had been broken, it was up to them now. Lin Ling brought Yu and headed towards the sacred land of the rainforest. At this moment, the human realm was still filled with rumors. Have you heard? Lin Ling went to the saint's grand domain and challenged 3 human immortal royal families alone. He turned Crystal City upside down and finally left safely. Chapter 2054. As a guest. Humph, it's a pity that Lin Ling isn't invincible. He has been poisoned by the martial god world and no one can cure him. He'll become a cripple sooner or later. The burning law poison comes from the burning law fruit. I heard that even the ancient giants couldn't cure it. What a pity Lin Ling will fall just like that. Among the three mysterious of the mortal world, some felt pity, some rejoiced in his misfortune and some felt refreshed. At this moment in the rainforest sacred land, many experts also heard the news. Big brother, he'll be fine. That's right, those are just rumors. The fire spirit princess, Little Flame, and the 9 spirits of heaven were extremely worried. Everyone knew that in this world, strength reigned supreme. Therefore, if Lin Ling became a cripple, he would also lose everything. Moreover, his enemies would definitely come to kill him. Of course, some people couldn't wait until the competition. Now the time had come. Lin Ling, where are you? Humph. The rainforest sacred land that had just been rebuilt was now greeted with a loud roar that shook the entire sacred land. As expected, kind people will be bullied. Those experts know that Lord Lin Ling has become a cripple, so they're all here to settle the score. Humph. My rainforest sacred land has just been peaceful for a while, and now they're here to bully us. Humph. Why should we be afraid of them? Go. The experts of the rainforest sacred land were furious. Holding their weapons, they all walked out. The fire spirit princess, Little Flame, and the others were also on guard. In the sky, a gorgeous carriage arrived. The one pulling the carriage was a white unicorn which looked even more noble. A moment later, a figure walked out of the carriage. She wore a gorgeous phoenix robe and a pearl crown. She was the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother. It's her. Humph. Seeing her, everyone was shocked. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be afraid. However, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was a legend of the mortal world. They couldn't face her. What are you all doing? I came here today to see you. Could it be that you're so overbearing that you won't even let my daughter see you? Humph. The Jade Lake's Heavenly Mother looked at everyone with disdain and spoke in a harsh voice. Princess Fire Spirit, Ancestor Extreme Flame, and the others fell silent for a moment. The other party's words were very pleasant to hear. He had come to see his daughter, so they couldn't chase him away. Sister Yu, and the others are not here. Heavenly Mother, please go back. Princess Hualing lifted her small face and spoke politely. Impudent. Is it your turn to speak? Let Lin Ling come out and talk. Lin Ling is really full of feathers. He won't even let my daughter see him. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother coldly snorted, and a powerful aura burst out, causing the Fire Spirit Princess to groan and be slightly injured. She had just arrived and she was already putting on airs. Heavenly Mother's arrival is our rainforest holy land's blessing. However, Lin Ling really isn't here. If Heavenly Mother wants to see Yu and the others, you can come later. At this time, a crisp voice rang out. It was Lu Susu. She was smart because the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was clearly here to make things difficult. However, she used the excuse of looking for her daughter, so they couldn't use force and could only speak softly. Not here? Or is he recuperating? I heard that stinking brat became a waste, so I came to see how much of a waste he is. I can be considered half a mother to Yu and the others, so it's reasonable for me to come. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother said indifferently. She seemed to be here to visit Yu and the others, but in fact, she was here to behave atrociously and watch Lin Ling make a fool of himself. Although she didn't dare to touch Lin Ling, she still couldn't avoid ridicule. Waste? Ancestor Extreme Flame and the others' faces turned ugly. That old witch was too arrogant. What's wrong? You don't even know how to entertain people. Little girl, bring me a stool and pour me some hot tea. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother walked down from the sky and said arrogantly. Damn old witch. Lu Susu cursed secretly, but on the surface she still showed a polite smile. She asked someone to bring a table and chairs and personally made a pot of hot tea. Bang. However, the moment the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother picked up the teacup, she immediately threw it at Lu Susu, splashing tea all over Lu Susu. As a maid, you don't even know how to pour tea? The water is too hot. How did Lin Ling teach you how to entertain guests? The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother raised her eyebrows and reprimanded as if Lu Susu was her maid. Damn it. Seeing this, everyone clenched their fists. However, Lu Susu forced a smile and said, This is my fault. I hope Heavenly Mother won't take it to heart. Someone bring me some warm water. Lu Susu was swallowing her anger because once a conflict broke out, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother might use it as an excuse to make a fuss. Bang. However, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother threw the teacup at Lu Susu again. What kind of tea is this? I'm a legend in the mortal world. Is this how you entertain me? Or is it that Lin Ling doesn't put me in his eyes? Fine, I came to visit Lin Ling personally because I care about him, but he treats me like this? Hearing this, Lu Susu lowered her head, feeling extremely wronged. She didn't say a word. Seeing Lu Susu being bullied, Patriarch Extreme Flame and the others were also furious. Hee, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother is a legend in the mortal world. Is it fun to bully a junior? At this time, a voice drifted over from afar. Looking carefully, several figures stepped on the clouds and came over. It was the 7 emperors. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother, weren't you in seclusion as a punishment? Did you sneak out now? If that lord finds out, you'll be in for a lot of trouble. Emperor Lisho walked down with a smile. Everyone kicks a man who is down. Currently, there were rumors that Lin Ling had become a cripple, so there were many people who wanted to make things difficult for him. However, he didn't expect the first to be the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother. It's none of your business. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's face was somewhat unsightly, but soon she sneered, 7 emperors, you are still very close to Lin Ling. Be careful not to be implicated by him. Because that guy has offended many people and now he's a cripple. The following days will be difficult? What kind of person Lin Ling has become is none of your business. What do you want? If you want to fight, just say it. Emperor Yu also floated down and coldly shouted, fighting and killing is too rude. I'm here to care about Lin Ling, not to fight. Moreover, I'm here to remind you, be careful not to be implicated by a cripple. Of course, if you really want to fight, I'll accompany you. But if this spread out, people will say that you 7 emperors are too overbearing, not even allowing me to be a guest. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother picked up the teacup and leisurely drank, leisurely said. Her appearance made people furious, but they couldn't do anything. After all, Jade Lake Heavenly Mother also said that she was here as a guest. The tea has been drunk and you've said your words. You can go now. Emperor Lisho and the others also endured. Chapter 2055. Domineering and direct. 7 emperors. Lin Ling is already crippled. He can't participate in the tournament of prodigies. Do you still want to support him? In my opinion, this kind of trash should just be left to fend for himself. Why bother? He'll be killed sooner or later anyway. If I were you, I'd definitely distance myself from him. Come to Grandma. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother blew on her teacup and slowly said. Her words were sharp and harsh, but when she called Lin Yi's name, Lin Yi ignored her, making her secretly angry. Damned old witch. Curse her to step on shit when she goes out and choke to death when drinking water. Lu Susu, Princess Huoling and the others smiled, but they were cursing in their hearts. What a venomous mouth, as expected of the old witch. Even the 7 emperors were cursing in their hearts. However, on the surface they were still enduring. Who is this person? Who told you to let the dog in when I wasn't around? Just as everyone was enduring, an angry shout came from afar. Many people turned around and saw that Lin Ling had returned, and beside him were Yu and the others. Lin Ling is back. Seeing the blue-white robed youth, everyone smiled with joy. Although it was rumored that Lin Ling had become a cripple, they didn't believe that rumor when they saw Lin Ling's trembling appearance. Dog. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's face turned ugly. Even the 7 emperors didn't dare to shed all pretenses of cordiality. This Lin Ling had called her a dog the moment he arrived. His guts weren't small. Heavenly Mother. Yu and the others looked at the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother with a complicated expression. However, when they saw what happened to Lu Susu and the Fire Spirit Princess, they immediately complained. The Heavenly Mother was looking for trouble. Watch from the side. When Lin Ling saw what had happened to Lu Susu and the others, he was furious. He didn't provoke the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother anymore, but this old witch was still making things difficult for him. Lin Ling, I heard that you've become a cripple. Is that true? The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother saw Lin Ling and was very happy because she could finally see Lin Ling's downfall. That's right, I was poisoned. Lin Ling step by step. You're really poisoned? This is troublesome, there is no antidote. Do you remember Xianxia? This person almost became a legend in the human world. Unfortunately, he was also poisoned by the burning magic poison. In the end, he gradually turned from a top expert to a cripple and was killed by his enemy. The 7 emperors and the others. Great. 2. Lin Ling step by step, but his eyes were cold. For some reason, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's smile disappeared when she saw those cold eyes. I just feel that it's a pity. Lin Ling, you've become a cripple, so Yu and the others should follow me back. Even though she was still afraid of Lin Ling being a legend of the mortal world, she raised her chin high when she said this. If Lin Ling's step was smart, he would be flattering her now. After all, a cripple had no future. Follow you back? Lin Ling step by step. He finally arrived in front of the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother. Seeing her leisurely drinking tea, he felt even more unhappy. He picked up the teapot and poured the tea on her head. The tea flowed down the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's head and stained her face, making her look extremely miserable. However, she was stunned because of Lin Ling's step. The crowd was also stunned. Then they couldn't help but laugh. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother looked like a drowned rat. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's eyes narrowed. I'm sorry, this tea is too cold. Using it to serve the noble Heavenly Mother is a disgrace to her status. So, I have to pour the old tea away and prepare some new tea. Lin Ling said indifferently, but the teapot in his hand didn't stop pouring the tea on the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's body. After the tea was poured, Lin Ling step by step 9. He waved his right hand and ordered someone to brew a new pot of tea. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother sat there trembling. She was a dignified mortal world legend. How could she be drenched in tea in front of everyone? Do you know what you're doing? Or do you still think you're a mortal world legend? The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother said in a low voice. Lin Ling step 9 couldn't see through himself. I'm pouring tea. Lin Ling step 9 said indifferently. A new pot of tea was poured on the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's head. He was using his actions to tell the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother what he was doing. This guy. Even Emperor Li Shou and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Although the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was despicable, she didn't shed all pretense of cordiality. She said that she came out of concern. Therefore Lin Ling step 9 should treat her with respect. Who knew that Lin Ling step 9 would treat her so rudely? Come to drink tea? Then I'll let you drink to your heart's content. Although Lin Ling step 9 was a cripple, he was still arrogant. The 7 emperors and the others smiled bitterly. Are you forcing me to make a move? You should know that you're no match for me now. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother wiped the tea leaves off her face and stood up in anger. Lin Ling step 9 smiled and poured the remaining tea into his mouth. Then he spat it out. The tea leaves once again stained the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's face. I'm forcing you to make a move. What can you do about it? After doing that, Lin Ling step 9 laughed. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was playing a hypocritical game with him, but he, Lin Ling step 9, didn't play the game and directly drove her away rudely. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother stood there like a drowned rat. She couldn't wait to attack. In her mind, Lin Ling step 9 was just a cripple. How dare he be so arrogant? Don't you know where you are? No matter how useless I, Lin Ling step 9, am, I'm not someone you can bully. Today's matter, for the sake of Yu and the others, I'll spare you. Now get out of my sight and see the guest out. Go away. Lin Ling step 9 ignored her anger. After saying that, he turned around and left indifferently. That calmness undoubtedly made the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's face even gloomier. Ah, not bad. See the guest out. Why aren't you leaving? Don't tell me you still want to stay for lunch? Go away. Maybe the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother is feeling guilty and wants to pour tea for us one by one? That's possible. But before pouring tea, she'd better wipe her face. That face full of tea leaves makes me want to vomit. Ah! In the rainforest's sacred ground, mocking voices drifted out. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother wished she could dig a hole and hide in it. Lin Ling step 9, you're back. Ah! But at this moment, a pleasantly surprised voice came from the skies. A woman in a green robe walked down with light steps. Every movement of this woman was filled with the aura of a national beauty, and she was extremely gentle and beautiful. Of course, she was martial god Jianghu. Apparently, she had heard that Lin Ling step 9 was poisoned, so she came to visit him. I'm fine for now. Haha. Lin Ling step 9 stopped and turned around with a smile. Chapter 2056. Tea was poured one by one. Her voice was filled with excitement. She took a few steps forward and knelt down in front of martial god Jianghu. Lin Ling poured tea all over my body, humiliating me. I only came here to show concern for him, but he went too far. Master, you have to stand up for me. If not, how would others view the Jianghu Immortal Foundation? Bang bang bang. After saying that, she kept kowtowing to ancient martial god Jianghu. Right now, although Lin Ling was trash, there were still many strong people behind him. Therefore, she wanted her master to stand up for her. Moreover, her master had helped Lin Ling in the past, presumably because Lin Ling's talent was too strong. However, Lin Ling had already become a cripple, so her master probably wouldn't care about Lin Ling anymore. You mean he poured tea all over himself? Martial god Jianghu frowned and looked indifferently at the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother. That's right. You see, I still have tea leaves with me. Not only that, he even threatened to destroy Jianghu's Immortal foundation. Hearing her master's cold tone, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was delighted. She knew that her master was angry. Destroy Jianghu's Immortal foundation? Martial god Jianghu said again. That's right, he's too arrogant. I'm only here to show some concern for him. Master, you must teach him a lesson. The Jade Lake's Heavenly Mother became even more agitated because she sensed that her master was getting angrier and angrier. Unfortunately, she didn't know that her anger wasn't directed at Lin Ling. You care for him? After that, he poured tea all over her body and even threatened to destroy Jianghu's Immortal foundation? If that's the case, give him 3 slaps. Ancient martial god Yun's face turned even colder. Fine, I'll give him 3 slaps. Let's see who dares to stop me. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother immediately felt proud and elated. She quickly stood up and sneered at Lin Ling before walking over with her chin held high. Now that she had her master's support, who would dare to be arrogant? Her gaze descended onto the 7 emperors and the others at the same time. As expected, the 7 emperors and the others revealed worried expressions. Obviously, the 7 emperors didn't dare to resist her master. At this moment, she had a feeling that the bitterness was over and the sweetness was about to begin. Lin Ling. In fact, the 7 emperors were indeed worried. An ancient overlord was not someone they could provoke. Unfortunately, Taoist Kame was not here. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to fear ancient martial god Jianghu. However, Lin Ling was still standing there, his face as calm as an ancient well. Are you ready? I'll give you 3 slaps. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother arrived in front of Lin Ling and said, Of course, kneel down and admit your mistake. Out of consideration for Yu and the rest, I won't make things difficult for you anymore. That's what I should say. For the sake of Yu and the others, if you kneel down and admit your mistake, I won't make things difficult for you anymore. However, what surprised the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was that Lin Ling actually repeated her words. Crazy. She thought that Lin Ling was absolutely crazy. I have nothing to say to you. Bring your face closer and I'll give you 3 resounding slaps. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was too lazy to explain. She raised her hand, but just as she was about to swing it, a cold voice came from behind her. When I asked you to give him 3 slaps, I asked you to give him 3 slaps, not the other way around. The voice was so familiar that the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother turned around in disbelief. The one who spoke was actually her master. At this moment, she suspected that she had misheard. Hit him. However, ancient martial god Jianghu said again, telling her that this was not a dream. I don't know what Lin Ling did to you, but he poured tea all over you. This means that you did something that made him unhappy, so you have to hit him. Ancient martial god Jianghu said coldly. In her heart, she didn't even dare to hit Lin Ling's face, let alone her disciple. Ah! The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother felt as if she was struck by lightning. What kind of logic was this? Lin Ling made things difficult for her, and her master actually stood up for Lin Ling? Let him hit him until he's happy. Ancient martial god Jianghu's voice came again. Not only the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother, but the 7 emperors also opened their mouths wide. Let Lin Ling hit him until he's happy? What kind of logic was this? Even if Lin Ling was ancient martial god Jianghu's disciple, this was impossible. Bring your face closer, I'll give you 3 good slaps. Lin Ling was the only one who wasn't surprised. Then he viciously threw a slap. Slap. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was dumbfounded. Slap. Another slap was thrown, and the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was still in a daze. Slap. After the 3rd slap, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother finally reacted. She was hit and it was 3 resounding slaps. Kneel. Lin Ling shouted coldly, apologize properly, and for Yu and the others' sake, I'll spare you this time. Kneel. Ancient martial god Jianghu also spoke after Lin Ling's voice fell. Plop. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was frightened and knelt down subconsciously. She was still confused. Last time, her master had told her not to provoke Lin Ling. At that time she didn't believe it, but now she did. In her master's heart, Lin Ling was more important than her. Although she didn't know the reason, it was the truth. At this moment she suddenly regretted it. If she had known that Lin Ling was so important, she wouldn't have come to see Lin Ling make a fool of himself. Are you convinced? Let me tell you, no matter how much I cripple you, it's easy for me to teach you a lesson. Lin Ling said indifferently, originally I was too lazy to care about what happened before, but you were too arrogant. Now go and pour tea for me. Pour tea for my grandfather, mother, and all my family and friends. If they are satisfied, then you can leave today. Heavens, how can I pour tea for so many people? The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother said with her mouth agape. That's none of my business. Lin Ling turned around and left, leaving the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother stunned. If you don't want to die, do as he says. Otherwise, don't blame me for disregarding our relationship as master and disciple. However, ancient martial god Jianghu's next sentence made the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother obediently pour tea. She wasn't afraid of anyone but her master. Impudent. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother almost vomited blood when she heard ancient martial god Jianghu's words. Impudent? How old was Lin Ling? Could it be that he was her grandmaster? Unfortunately, she didn't dare to ask the question in her heart. She could only obediently pour tea for Lu Susu. Although Lu Susu didn't know what happened, she trusted Lin Ling. She simply imitated the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother from before. She set the table and slowly drank tea. This tea is too cold. How are you a maid? Change the water. Lu Susu crossed her legs and said. Okay, right away. The Jade Lake Heavenly Mother gritted her teeth and said gloomily. A dignified legend of the mortal world had become a maid. The 7 emperors, Patriarch Taiyin, and the others were stunned for half an hour before they finally accepted this terrible fact. Then, they all began to worry about Lin Ling. Ancient martial god Jianghu was the same because even she couldn't cure the burning law poison. It's okay, this poison won't kill me. Facing everyone's concern, Lin Ling replied with a smile. Chapter 2057. Starting point of the battle flag, there's still close to a year's time. The time isn't up yet, so it's hard to say. Lin Ling looked at Yu and the others with a smile. Yu and the others also smiled tacitly. At present, Yu and the others' poison had been cured. Although Lin Ling's poison had not been cured, it was only a matter of time. And Yuer was the one who suggested that Lin Ling be kept a secret. If the secret was made public now, Lin Ling would become a thorn in their side and be assassinated by the devil race and ghost race. Therefore it was better to hide the truth. This would save them a lot of trouble. However, that was indeed the truth. Lin Ling had become a cripple, and the experts of the 4 races no longer placed him in their eyes. They would wait until after the competition to kill Lin Ling. Then we can only wait for a year. The 7 emperors sighed softly and left behind their treasures. Then they bid farewell and left. Ancient martial god Jianghu was very familiar with Lin Ling's personality. She guessed that Lin Ling should be able to detoxify the poison. She was immediately overjoyed. Little Wu, inform Little Black and Little White to return in a year. Tell them that it's Li Xiaoyao's order. Lin Ling said to ancient martial god Jianghu. He wasn't afraid of the human world giants, but he had to be wary of the ancient giants such as the great demon king of the demon race, the ghost emperor of the ghost race, the godly king of the godly kingdom, etc. Yes, master. When ancient martial god Jianghu heard the voice in her heart, she immediately replied. She was extremely excited. She knew that during the 4-race tournament, it was time for her master to announce his identity. Moreover, there were still rumors that Lin Ling was a cripple. If the 4-race tournament began and the experts of the 4 races saw that not only was Lin Ling not crippled, but he was even stronger, she wondered what their expressions would be. After chatting for a while, everyone left one by one. After Lin Ling guided Yu and the others in their cultivation, he also went into seclusion. This time he had reaped a great harvest. He had enough treasures to break through to the next realm. Moreover, his foundation was extremely solid. 3rd Revolution Wuxia, severing 3 corpses. Once he stepped into the martial emperor realm, he would be invincible among those of the same realm. His Majesty's name will definitely shake the world in the upcoming 4-clan tournament. In the Purple Palace, Old Z looked at Lin Ling with gratification in his eyes. Elder Z, thank you for your help all these years. Lin Ling respectfully bowed towards Violet Elder. Before he recovered his memories, it was Violet Elder who helped him. It could be said that without Violet Elder, he, Lin Ling, might not have been able to find a second stone sculpture. Your Majesty, you can't. Elder Purple was flattered. He knew that Lin Ling was the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. Even the star-plucking emperor would have to treat Lin Ling as his junior. There's nothing wrong with that. In my heart, you are my master. Lin Ling still bowed. That kind of respect came from the bottom of his heart. Purple Elder's eyes became moist. It was his honor to be able to nurture Lin Ling in this lifetime. I know that you have always wanted to leave the Purple Palace and live like a normal person. Today I will help you. Lin Ling said with a smile. He then took out a large number of treasures and helped Purple Elder reconstruct his body. Many treasures were needed to reconstruct a body and they were all extremely precious. Otherwise, Lin Ling would have already reconstructed the bodies of Lord Shui Wu and the others. Of course, Lord Shui Wu and the others could also forcefully seize some people's bodies. However, Lin Ling stopped them because that would go against the heavens. However, Lord Shui Wu and the others didn't care about their bodies because their strength would be even more powerful if they turned into souls. A few days later, Purple Elder appeared in the sacred rainforest. Yu and the others were extremely happy. They all held Purple Elder's hand. Obviously they already knew Purple Elder. Haha, Purple Elder, I finally see you. Princess Huoling was the most excited. She was the most familiar with Purple Elder. My little princess, don't pull my beard. If you pull it again it will be gone. Purple Elder's eyes were moist and his heart was moved. He was a soul and had always yearned for a lively situation where his children and grandchildren were everywhere. Now Lin Ling had fulfilled his wish. Ancestor Tai Yen also knew Purple Elder. He immediately smiled and pulled Purple Elder to play chess and fish with Lin Ling's grandfather, Rain Master Mo Ping and the others. They were extremely happy. Lin Ling looked at this scene indifferently. At this moment he felt that his motivation to become stronger was even greater. Lin Ling entered seclusion again. First he dispelled the burning law poison. Then he used all kinds of treasures to break through Wu Sheng's realm. After spending 10 years in the Purple Palace, Lin Ling naturally reached the Martial Emperor realm. His physical strength source was much larger than ordinary people's. After breaking through, his laws reached more than 50,000. This was just ordinary laws, not including the power of laws, martial arts and weapons. Moreover, ordinary first-level martial emperors only had 10,000 laws. Even third-level martial emperors only had 50,000 laws. However, Lin Ling's first-level martial emperors were comparable to third-level martial emperors. However, that was only for ordinary martial emperors. Geniuses like Huang Sun were much more than that. However, they were still not comparable to Lin Ling. In addition, Lin Ling's fire attribute talent had also increased crazily, reaching 7th level divine rank. As for the 6 paths of reincarnation, Lin Ling cultivated the Hell Path, Hungry Ghost Path and Animal Path. Now that he had cultivated the Human Path, his laws had increased by 30,000, which was 20,000 more than the Animal Path. According to Lin Ling's knowledge, the 4th path of reincarnation increased the laws even more. It could be said that with the fire attribute martial Dao, Lin Ling could kill any third-level martial emperor. This was one of his trump cards. The second trump card was his soul power. With the help of the treasures left behind by Li Xiaoyao, his soul power had reached level 500. Whether it was Time Freeze, Maple Snow's Mournful Blade or Evasion Realm, they had all increased greatly. As for the third trump card, it was Lin Ling's sword principle and physical body. The improvement of his realm was slower. However, Lin Ling planned to reforge the tyrannical Song Sword and make it a 4-star celestial weapon to increase the power of the space law. Bitter cultivation was spent in boredom. Lin Ling knew that the peak battle of the 4 clans was getting closer and closer. However, after using up all the treasures, Lin Ling did not cultivate bitterly. He sensed that he was about to break through to first-level martial emperor. All he needed was an opportunity. Lin Yi, how's your sword drawing technique? When he was free, Lin Ling would give Lin Yi pointers on martial arts. Father, I have already learned the sword drawing technique. Lin Yi replied proudly. However, when Lin Ling asked him to demonstrate it, Lin Ling immediately frowned and said, the sword drawing technique seems to be the simplest sword principle. However, one movement contains millions of moves. Your martial arts are not up to standard. You have to swing the sword at least 200 million times. 200 million? Lin Yi opened his mouth wide and then lowered his head. He had no choice but to do as he was told. As long as it was related to martial arts, his father would always be very strict with him. Yu and the others smiled as they looked at Lin Ling from afar. This was the feeling of home. Time quietly passed by. Unknowingly, a year had passed and the most anticipated 4 Clans Heaven's Pride competition was about to begin. This competition was actually a seed competition for the creation battle. The winner would be able to participate in the creation battle and rule the world. The day before the 4-clan tournament began, the human race, god race, devil race and ghost race were already filled with excitement. All the experts had come because of the 4-clan tournament. They wanted to see the strength of the top experts of each race. As for the experts who were qualified to participate in the tournament, they enjoyed endless glory and pride. Chapter 2058. The struggle of the 4 races. Early in the morning, a large number of experts had gathered at the 100-Year Mountain. Get lost, demon. Kiki, if not for the agreement between the races, I would have killed these humans long ago. Come on, come kill us. The ghost race, demon race, celestial race, and the human race had accumulated a deep grudge against each other. Now that they were gathered at the 100 Years Mountain, it was natural that they would fight each other. Of course, they were only boasting because the key was the four-clan competition. Moreover, no matter what kind of conflict they had, the outcome would be decided during the battle of creation. Therefore, even though those experts didn't like each other, they still rested in the mountain range and more of them gathered. Gradually, the experts who were about to participate in the competition arrived. The four absolute talents of the gods. Someone suddenly cried out in alarm. Multicolored light shone in the sky as a large number of experts arrived. These people were dressed in luxurious embroidered clothes, and their auras were otherworldly. Moreover, their eyes were extremely arrogant as they looked at the common people of the world. They were the powerful beings of the four holy kingdoms. Among them, the four great divine kings didn't need to participate in the competition. They were ancient giants, and they were already quietly waiting for the battle of creation. The contestants were the four ultimate talents of the gods: evil god of immortality, burning heaven of emperor, heavenly god of 9 suns, and fire cloud unification. Their cultivation seemed to have reached the martial emperor realm. No wonder they are the four unique geniuses of the divine realm. Someone said in surprise, causing the expressions of the experts from various clans to change drastically. Whether it's the human race, the ghost race, or the demon race, they're all a bunch of trash. My god race is the noblest, the strongest race. At this moment, one of the four strongest geniuses, heavenly god 9 suns, said calmly. He looked down on everyone. How arrogant. Our demon king will definitely defeat him. The ghost king is stronger than him. The strong cultivators of the various races all frowned. Heavenly god Jianghu was actually comparing the various races to trash. The god race was the noblest race. Damn it. You'll know after the battle. What you're saying now is just a joke. At this time, terrifying demonic clouds arrived. It was as if millions of demons were descending from the clouds. These were the demons who were about to participate in the competition. Leading the army were the 5 rising demon kings. They were Pink Crown Prince, Moaoao, Black Hole, Demon Monarch of Destruction, and Tianhu. These people's strength was exceedingly high, and they could already fight against the giants of the human world. Moreover, after the arrival of the 5 little devil kings, ghostly wails and howls could be heard from afar. The experts of the ghost race had also arrived. Upon closer inspection, their appearances were similar to those of the devil race. They were all strange and bizarre, but the ghostly chi on their bodies was extremely dense. The ghost race's army was led by 4 people. They were called the 4 great ghost marshals, and their strength was naturally extremely terrifying. It's so difficult to breathe. Are you crazy? Hurry up and come over to the human side. A human expert turned pale, but the others immediately reminded him. If one looked carefully, the 100-Year Mountain had already been divided into 4 camps. If one were to appear in the camp of another race, there was a high chance that one would be killed. It's alright, I'm here. While the human race was lacking a backbone, a large number of experts had arrived, led by heaven-blessed martial god and the others. Huang's son had arrived. In addition, the experts of the 3 great myths of the mortal world had also arrived. Among them, other than Huang's son, the others could also participate in the competition to fight for a spot in the Genesis battle. After their arrival, the pressure on the human side was reduced by a lot, but the crowd's blood was boiling. The competition between the 4 races was finally about to begin. Although they were not participating, the sense of honor was still very strong. After a while, the experts of the Saints' great domain also arrived, but they did not send many people, only the 4 great immortal giants. In an instant, the people who were going to participate in the competition had all arrived. Where's Lin Ling? He killed my younger brother today, I must kill him. At this time, the Pink Crown Prince of the Devil race shouted in a low voice. His 2 younger brothers were killed by Lin Ling. Lin Ling is already crippled. Your opponent is me. On the side of Huang's son, Prince of Freedom stared at the Devil race's camp and said indifferently. You. Too weak, get lost. Lin Ling is more like it. However, the Pink Crown Prince shouted in disdain. His words made Prince of Freedom's expression freeze there. He was too useless? It seems that in front of the experts of the 4 races, Lin Ling is the most famous. The other Huang's son are not as dazzling as him. Seeing this scene, many people secretly said. I said, Lin Ling is already crippled, he will not come today, your opponent is our Huang's son and the giants of the mortal world. Heaven-blessed martial god also opened his mouth, he was also very angry, no one in the devil race knew his name? What a pity, the number one genius of the human race has fallen. It seems that the human race has no chance to shine in the competition. The Pink Crown Prince finally acknowledged the news that Lin Ling was crippled, but he still ignored the other Huang's son. Damn it. Prince of Freedom, heaven-blessed martial god, Luo Chen and the other famous geniuses, all of them secretly clenched their fists in anger. That's right, Lin Ling is still a worthy opponent, the others are just a bunch of trash. It seems that in this 4-race competition I will take the first place, and our god race will also occupy the top 5. Heavenly God Jianghu also said with a smile. In the 4-race competition, only the top 5 were qualified to participate in the battle of creation, so the competition was extremely fierce. Those geniuses of the god race and devil race are so arrogant. It's a pity that Lin Ling has fallen, otherwise if he was here, they would not be able to be arrogant. Yes. Yes, Prince of Freedom and the others are not confident enough. Yes. I heard that in order to detoxify Lin Ling, the 7 emperors and the others tried all kinds of methods, and finally found a secret method in the ancient ruins, and forged a jade pendant that can suppress the burning magic poison. Yes. Really? Yes. Of course, my senior brother is Xianxia under the 7 emperors, he told me. Yes. Speaking of Lin Ling, many people suddenly began to discuss. The voices made the eyes of heavenly god Jianghu and the others flicker. I heard that it was extremely difficult to suppress. It took almost a year, but the poison was suppressed in the end. Then is Lin Ling back on the altar again? It's hard to say because in order to suppress the burning magic poison, Lin Ling wasted too much time, and I heard that many of his laws were burned, so even if his strength has increased, he can't catch up with the other sons of desolation. Alas, what a pity. The crowd said again. Such words made heavenly god Jianghu and the others laugh. Lin Ling is really tenacious, but it's a pity that everything is in vain. Even the sons of desolation and the others laughed. They were very happy in their hearts. Although Lin Ling did not become a cripple, it was obviously not worth mentioning. Emperor Li Shou, is what they said true? Among the big shots of the mortal world, someone asked in a low voice. Indeed. Emperor Li Shou smiled bitterly. The 7 emperors had indeed worked hard for Lin Ling, but the result did not seem to be good. What made them most speechless was that Lin Ling actually ignored the jade pendant that they had painstakingly forged. This made them sometimes think, could it be that Lin Ling had also given up? Well, let's not talk about that trash. Next, the 4-race competition begins. Chapter 2059. King's Light. When the strong cultivators saw how proud the 9 Suns celestial god was, they pulled a long face, but they didn't do anything. They also knew that the strong cultivators from the ancient times were watching. They were just hiding in the dark. The strong cultivators of the 4 clans discussed and decided to use the King's Light at the beginning to eliminate some weak cultivators. Said an ancient voice in the sky. It was the voice of the strong cultivators from the ancient times. The initial elimination of the 4 great clans is the same. Those who are too weak will lose the face of their respective clans if they enter the martial stage. Therefore they must be eliminated. Another voice floated out. It seemed to be the voice of an ancient great demon king. The crowd was astonished. As expected, the strong cultivators from the ancient times were watching. But that was the truth. The competition of the 4 clans was the most important competition in the history of the world. Therefore, if ordinary cultivators were allowed to go on the stage, they would lose face. What? King's Light? Suddenly, the expressions of some of the older experts instantly changed, causing some of the younger generation to become curious. As for the 7 emperors and the others, they laughed bitterly. This initial elimination was really harsh. The King's Light is an ancient cosmic energy. It comes from the ancient kings of the clans. It contains an ancient chi. Without the strength of the great Emperor layer, nobody can pass the King's Light. Said Emperor Li Shou, shaking his head. The most important thing is that it doesn't only require cultivation level, it also requires natural talents. Many people took a deep breath. Someone asked nervously, what if you can't pass the King's Light? Emperor Yu spat out a single word, causing the crowd to become silent. Unless you have the chi of the first king, you can't pass the King's Light. Otherwise you can't pass the King's Light. Said the 2 kings of Champion University, smiling wryly. Boom boom boom. At the same time, a gigantic stone fell from the sky and turned into a flight of stairs. At the top of the gigantic stone, there was a magnificent stage. There were 4 stages like that in the 4 corners of the 100 Years Mountain. Boom boom boom. But the gigantic stone wasn't the only one. At the same time, a gigantic statue fell from the sky and landed in front of the stairs. The devil race's statue was a devil king with 2 horns on its head. This statue was actually the oldest devil king of the devil race, the first-generation devil king. The ghost race's statue was similar to a Xianxia, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, looking extremely ferocious. Some people curiously stared at the statue, but after staring for more than an incense stick's worth of time, they immediately spat out blood and retreated. Although it was a statue, the pressure it exuded was extremely terrifying. It was the same for the celestial race. However, the one who landed on the ground was a handsome man. He looked heroic and mighty. As for the humans, they were led by the first emperor of the desolate era, the overlord saber of the first sovereign emperor. He was an awe-inspiring man with a saber in his hand, like an undefeatable god of war. These 4 stone statues emitted light that enveloped the giant stone steps. Clearly, only those who had stepped onto the 9 stone steps would have the qualifications to participate in the competition. And those rays of light were none other than the King of Honor light. So it's the light of the first venerable sovereign. The crowd was enlightened. Those who want to participate in the competition can go to the giant stone sculptures. A voice drifted out from the sky. With my strength it won't be difficult. I will definitely reach the giant stone martial platform and fight with the top experts of the various races. Only trash would dare not. The experts of the various races were eager to take action. They took large strides and walked toward their respective stone statues. Boom. On the demon race's side, an expert had just approached when he was immediately blasted into pieces. Failure. The ghost race's side was the same. As for the human side, an old man with fighting spirit also walked forward. However, he was turned into ashes by the terrifying rays of light. Another failure. How terrifying. Those are rank 2 martial emperors. Many people gasped. The King of Honor light was too powerful. Otherwise, do you think the aura of the first sovereign emperor is so easy to deal with? The 7 emperors smiled bitterly and shook their heads. They had originally wanted to participate in the competition, but now they were hesitating. Look over there, heavenly god Jianghu has reached the giant stone martial platform. At this time, someone pointed at the demon race's side. Heavenly god Jianghu stood proudly on the martial platform. He was actually the first to reach the martial platform. A bunch of trash. Moreover, a disdainful voice floated out, causing the martial artists of the godly nation to cheer. The experts of the human race, demon race, and ghost race were naturally unwilling to accept this. One by one they walked toward the stone statues. They could not lose face. Gradually, people from the human race also stepped onto the giant stone martial platform. The first was the heavenly martial god. At this moment he was extremely proud and looked down on everyone. Prince of Freedom, fallen mortal, and the others also reached the giant stone martial platform one after another. What was surprising was that the 3 great legends of the human realm did not participate in the competition. On the contrary, there were many giants of the human realm, such as the stone god, the fire toad, and the human immortal realm giants. However, the fire toad failed and was almost killed by the rays of light. Among the human immortal realm giants of the 4 great saint domains, only 3 had reached the giant stone martial platform. They were the primeval spiritual being, the divine marquis, and the North Celestial Emperor. In a short time, the experts of the human race had almost all decided on who would participate in the competition. It was the same for the deity race, ghost race, and demon race. There were only about 200 to 300 people. However, although there were many of them, the number of experts who were killed by the Reverend King's rays was even greater. Many of them were of the rank 3 martial emperor realm. As time passed, fewer and fewer people participated in the competition. It seemed that most of the people had been decided. At this moment, the 7 emperors frowned. The first round of elimination was about to end. Why was Lin Ling not here yet? Of course, other than them, no one remembered Lin Ling. It was as if Lin Ling was the representative of the past. However, no one remembered Lin Ling. Was he not coming? At this moment, in the distant sky, a large number of figures finally arrived. Because the first round of elimination was about to end, their arrival immediately attracted many people's attention. Lin Ling? The crown prince of the spirit tribe? That looks like the primeval spiritual being from the great saint domain. Lin Ling is here. Is he here to watch the show? The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone knew Lin Ling. In fact, although Lin Ling had become a cripple, the miracles he had created in the past were still famous. He's here. On the fire tribe's side, Princess Wuxia looked at the sky excitedly. I hope he can participate in the competition. As for Horeo, he sighed softly. If Lin Ling had not been poisoned, Lin Ling would have been extremely dazzling today. Many people had the same thought. They subconsciously looked at the primeval spiritual being and the others. Everyone's eyes were filled with anger. If it were not for them, how could Lin Ling become a cripple? This was a good thing for the other races. Is he here to make a fool of himself? Huang Zizi and the others could not wait to see Lin Ling fall. At this moment, they looked at Lin Ling with contempt. Ah, I thought he wouldn't come. After all, he can't let go of fame and fortune. For fame and fortune, he is even willing to give up his life. He's just risking his life. Because even if he doesn't come, there will be many people who want to kill him after the competition. Chapter 2060. Lin Ling arrives, and at that moment, several figures were standing on the dragon turtle battleship in the sky. The person leading them was dressed in blue and white robes. He carried an ancient sword on his back, and his long hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were as tranquil as an ancient well. Although Lin Ling's current strength can't compare to Desolation's, at least he didn't give up. Emperor Li Shou and the others were gratified. They didn't know that Lin Ling had already cured the burning law poison. Trash scram. Don't embarrass yourself. While the experts of the four races were staring at Lin Ling, an old man suddenly took a large step forward and appeared in the sky, blocking Lin Ling and the others. This old man was actually a human expert. Seeing the old man's actions, many people sneered. Lin Ling had become a cripple, and there were indeed many people who wanted to teach him a lesson. At this moment, on the dragon turtle battleship, Lin Ling and the others were looking down at the ground with cold expressions. I'm talking to you, can't you hear me? Scram. The old man shouted angrily again. This person was from the Xianyuan clan. His clan had been annihilated in the past, and he had escaped because he had gone out to gain experience. Therefore he hated Lin Ling to the bone. However, Lin Ling had been too powerful in the past, so he did not dare to take revenge. However, the current Lin Ling was not worth mentioning. Seeing him stop Lin Ling, the sneers on the experts' faces deepened. They wanted to see whether or not Lin Ling had become a cripple. If you can come, why can't I? Lin Ling's gaze finally landed on the old man as he spoke indifferently. Because I'm here to support the human race and you're a cripple. You're here to make a fool of yourself, so get lost. The old man shouted coldly as if he was a big shot in the human world. Are you saying that you're very strong so you came to support the human race while I'm a cripple so I can't come, and I don't have the qualifications to come? Lin Ling said calmly. He had long known that he would encounter many difficulties, so he did not plan to announce it to the world immediately. His strength was not crippled, because he also wanted to see who wanted him dead and who wanted him dead. Not bad, you finally know how much of a waste you are. Now you can scram. The old man nodded. Then he sighed. You used to be a genius in the mortal world, but you were too arrogant and made enemies everywhere. Now you know what retribution is, right? Therefore, young man, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have some strength. I hope that this incident will teach you how to conduct yourself. Hee hee. Lin Ling smiled. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his right hand, and he slashed out. Thanks for the reminder. That sword had easily unleashed 3,000 laws, and that old man was only at the 10th stage realm of Wuxia. He couldn't block it at all. Moreover, he was shocked. Hadn't Lin Ling become a cripple? How could he still erupt with 3,000 laws? You're right, strength is everything. But it's clear that I'm stronger than you, so you'd better scram. Whoosh. After that sword, a sword mark appeared on the old man's neck. He pointed at Lin Ling and fell to the ground without saying anything. Lin Ling didn't even look at him and walked towards the ground. It seems that the jade pendant that the 7th Emperor forged for him can indeed suppress the poison. But that's all. He missed the time to cultivate because of the burning law poison. Now he's definitely not a match for the son of Huang. Sai, why did you come? It's just embarrassing. The crowd was slightly surprised, but they still sighed. Lin Ling, you're here? I've been waiting for a long time. On the human race's giant stone martial platform, Primeval Spiritual Master looked down at Lin Ling from above. In the past, Lin Ling was so brilliant and dazzling. Now that he had become a cripple, he felt very carefree. Moreover, he could kill him however he wanted to. This undoubtedly resolved his worries. Lin Ling looked at Primeval Spiritual Master and sneered. Sorry for being late and making you wait for a long time. He would definitely kill Primeval Spiritual Master. But he would let him be arrogant first. After the competition, he would slowly settle the old scores. I know you hate me because I made you a cripple, so I'm very sorry. Primeval Spiritual Master said with a smile. His expression was full of schadenfreude. However, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. I already regret my previous mistakes. But now that you've been poisoned, it's hard to change things. So if you're angry, then come and beat me. Primeval spiritual master obviously had a deep resentment against Lin Ling. At this moment he was even more proud. Despicable. Seeing that shameless look, primeval spiritual master couldn't help but curse. He didn't expect his master to be so despicable. Let him be proud. He won't live past today. However, Lin Ling didn't care because he really didn't need to care too much about a dead person. Yes. Primeval spiritual master nodded immediately. Yu and the others also followed Lin Ling with cold faces. You're Lin Ling, the one who killed my younger brother? If you have the guts, let me tell you, you're going to die today. In the distance, Pink Crown Prince of the Demon Race said, shaking the sky. Lin Ling, do you still remember what happened in the 5th city of the godly nation? At that time you were very arrogant. But today I will kill you. 9 Sons Heavenly God, Undying Evil God and the others also said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling had become a thorn in their side. However, what surprised them was that Son of Famine and the others also said, Lin Ling, your end is here. Heaven Warping Martial God, Prince of Freedom and the others had long wanted to kill Lin Ling. At this moment they all bared their fangs. Heaven Warping Martial God laughed loudly and made a throat-slitting gesture. The human race, devil race, ghost race and god race all wanted Lin Ling dead. Of course, there were also many people who were worried about Lin Ling. The 7 emperors, the 18 islands of the spirit race, Jianghu of the immortal divine nation and so on. Without a doubt, although Lin Ling had become a cripple, his brilliance could still shock the world. As Lin Ling listened to the wave-like voices around him, the corners of his mouth finally curved into a sneer. He did not expect that the experts of the 4 races were paying attention to him. Since that was the case, he might as well let the storm come more fiercely. In this semi-finals I want first place. Whoever comes to kill me, wait to be killed by me. Lin Ling spat out the words from his mouth, causing the 100-year mountain to fall silent. Lin Ling seemed to have been forced into a corner, so he made a declaration. With his strength he actually wanted to get first place. Moreover, whoever came to kill him, who would he kill? After a moment of silence, roaring laughter resounded like thunder, shaking the entire 100-year mountain. Even the 7 emperors and the others laughed bitterly. They had seen how powerful the other geniuses were before, and even they were afraid of those geniuses. However, who knew that Lin Ling would actually say that he would kill them? Good. Amidst the laughter, Heavenly God Jianghu clapped his hands and said, I can tell you that today you are dead for sure, so you can refute with all your might. However, I hope that your refutation will not disappoint me. Now you should first ascend the martial stage. That's right, ascend the martial stage. The others also laughed coldly. Lin Ling nodded and strode towards the stone statue of the human race. Lin Ling, we will go first. Primeval Beginning, Prince of the Spirit Race and the others all spoke. They wanted to test the power of the stone statue for themselves. Chapter 2061. Handover of the Throne. Seeing this, many people's eyes narrowed, especially Xianxia Jinren, because he knew Xianxia Zi's strength the best, but he did not expect Xianxia Zi to be so successful. Could it be that his disciple's strength had increased greatly? Next up was the Spirit Race Crown Prince. He had spent a lot of effort but he was lucky enough to reach the top. Next, Yu and Yuer and the others also stepped onto the giant stone martial platform, and they were the most relaxed. You're beautiful and strong. Beauty, leave Lin Ling. He's no longer worthy of you. 2 heavenly beauties. It's a pity that they married Lin Ling. Lin Ling is a toad that ate swan meat. No worries. After today those 2 beauties will abandon Lin Ling. Many people looked at Yu and the others with admiration and licked their lips. Even Heavenly God Jianghu, Pink Crown Prince, and the others stared at Yu and the other girls. Then they laughed. Those 2 girls were not bad. They belonged to them. As for Yu and the others, they descended to the mortal world. Heaven-blessed martial prodigy chuckled and was just about to say a few words of flattery. Shut up. Yu coldly interrupted, causing the expressions of Qianzong and the others to turn unsightly. They didn't understand why Lin Ling was already crippled, but Yu and the others were still following Lin Ling. And the more it was like this, the more jealous they were. What they didn't know was that Yu and the others were only where they were today because of Lin Ling. Therefore, even if Lin Ling really became a cripple, they would still follow Lin Ling. Brother Ling, come on up. Yu then said to the big man. She could easily come up, so Lin Ling would definitely have an even easier time. Of course they thought so, but the others didn't think so. They were all waiting to see a good show. Lin Ling smiled. He didn't care about the stone sculpture and took a big step forward. However, at this moment, a terrifying light enveloped him, causing Lin Ling to be unable to move an inch. Lin Ling frowned. How could this be? Logically speaking, Yu and the others had already gone up, so it shouldn't be difficult for him. But why was the stone sculpture's light even stronger? The Honorable King Light stopped Lin Ling. Does this mean that Lin Ling's strength doesn't meet the requirements? The 7 kings and the others frowned. As for the experts of the various clans, they were all stunned. Then, deafening voices rose and fell one after another. Even so, Lin Ling still wanted to take first place? This was simply a joke. Lin Ling, aren't you very arrogant? Yuanshi and the others were surprised because Lin Ling was above them in terms of talent, realm, and strength. It was impossible that he couldn't get on the giant stone martial platform. Bang! Lin Ling took another step forward, but the mysterious light was even more terrifying, forcing him back. Impossible. Impossible. Lin Ling's frown deepened. Even he was surprised by his current strength. The Honorable King Light shouldn't be able to stop him. What was the reason? Thud thud thud. Lin Ling retreated from the shock. However, Lin Ling stepped forward again, but the result was the same. What a disgrace. Even Yu and the others succeeded. Lin Ling, don't you feel embarrassed? What first place, Yu? I think you're just trash. Get lost. We'll kill you after the competition ends. You're wasting our time. Seeing this, many people gloated even more. Lin Ling obviously didn't admit that he was trash. This was because the King of Supremacy's first elimination had very strict requirements for all kinds of domains. Although Lin Ling was not as weak as he had imagined, he clearly did not meet the requirements to participate in the competition. Otherwise, the stone statue would not have stopped him. So did he fail? The 7 emperors and the others sighed softly. They watched as Lin Ling was rejected again and again, and they felt a little uncomfortable in their hearts. In the past, he had been so proud and his name had shaken the world. His skills had suppressed the 4 races, and he had been the youngest giant of the human world. This was the sorrow of a powerhouse. Moreover, many experts of the human race couldn't bear to watch such a scene because it was like watching Lin Ling perish. The laughter around them grew louder. However, Lin Ling didn't seem to hear it. He continued to move forward, but he was stopped again and again. Gradually, the ancient giant's voice came from the sky. Get lost. You're wasting our time. It was the demon king of the demon race. Obviously, they couldn't watch Lin Ling fail again and again. Lin Ling still had to face reality. He was already a cripple. Get lost. Around the 100 Years Mountain, a large number of voices rang out, telling Lin Ling to get lost. Lin Ling looked at the sky indifferently and ignored them. Then he looked at the stone sculpture in front of him. Even now, he still didn't understand why the stone sculpture was stopping him. If you don't get lost, don't blame us for killing you. In the sky, the cold voice sounded again, causing the ancient giants of the human world to fall silent. Obviously, they couldn't help Lin Ling unless Lin Ling left on his own accord. Lin Ling was still looking at the stone sculpture. Gradually, his eyes lit up. This Honorable King Light was the light of the first honorable sovereign of the human race. It was also the aura of the first honorable sovereign. Was it because of Li Xiaoyao? Could it be that Li Xiaoyao had fought with the oldest honorable sovereign in the past and won? Therefore, when the stone sculpture sensed Li Xiaoyao, it stopped Lin Ling. A mountain couldn't hide 2 tigers because this was also a clash of auras between honorable sovereigns. Thinking of this, Lin Ling's lips curled into a confident smile. Others only needed the stone sculpture's approval to ascend the giant stone martial platform. However, Lin Ling was Li Xiaoyao, so the stone sculpture obviously wouldn't approve of him. The only way to solve this problem was to resist. Confrontation and recognition were clearly 2 different concepts. Of course, Lin Ling was also the first person to confront the stone sculpture among the powerhouses participating in the competition today. So what if he was the first honorable sovereign of the desolate antiquity era? Times had changed and Li Xiaoyao had already surpassed him. Lin Ling took another step forward. From the eye of time, an invisible honorable sovereign aura spread out and collided with the Honorable King Light. Still not leaving? Then I'm going to attack. The ancient giants in the sky didn't know about Lin Ling's change and coldly said at this moment. That's right, Lin Ling is breaking the rules and making the experts of the 4 clans wait for him. A ghost emperor from the ghost clan also coldly shouted. The ancient giants of the human race were still silent. They also didn't understand why Lin Ling was still persisting. However, they didn't see that the stone sculpture of the first honorable sovereign was shaking. Although it was slight, it was indeed shaking. A voice floated out in Lin Ling's mind. First honorable sovereign, I respect you as the #1 expert of the human race, so I'm giving you face. However, you're already old. You're already a stone sculpture, a dead object. The new generation surpasses the old. Do you still want to sit on the throne of the honorable sovereign? I Li Xiaoyao have already defeated you. I Lin Ling am the current #1 honorable sovereign. It's time for you to hand over your throne. You can't stop me. Lin Ling shouted in his mind. Like a dragon flying in the sky, with unruliness and determination, he took a heavy step forward. At the same time, the ancient giants in the sky were already preparing to attack. However, at this moment, the stone sculpture of the human race shook violently. Under countless gazes, as if the throne of the honorable sovereign was about to be handed over, it suddenly exploded. Boom! The honorable king light was completely shattered. Chapter 2062. Who is not convinced? Everyone stared blankly at the foot of the giant stone steps. There, the statue of the #1 sovereign of the human race had already been blown away by the wind. As for Lin Ling, his footsteps were steady as he walked towards the boulder martial platform. In the sky, the great demon king who was about to attack seemed to have been struck by lightning, instantly falling silent. Of course, he was not the only one. The entire 100 Years Mountain was completely silent. Everyone was shocked. What's going on? The statue of the #1 human was shattered, and the light of supremacy had disappeared? Didn't Lin Ling fail repeatedly before? Why did the stone statue shatter at the critical moment and help him? For a moment, everyone's mind seemed to have stopped working. They couldn't think of anything. A voice came from the human clan's side. It was the immortal Xianxia. Impossible. You haven't been recognized by the first sovereign. You can't come up here. This question was on everyone's mind. On the giant stone steps, Lin Ling continued to move forward as if he hadn't heard anything. Answer me. The primeval spiritual master felt that he could no longer swallow his pride and shouted angrily. Lin Ling, you better explain yourself. After all, you are here as a representative of the human race. If you do something shameful, the entire human race will lose face. Tianzong said calmly, as if he was the leader of the human race. As for the experts of the other 3 races, although they were unhappy, they remained silent because the experts of the human race would demand an explanation from Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling still didn't listen. He walked his own path. Bastard. Heaven-blessed martial artist felt that Lin Ling was ignoring him too much. Lin Ling, you'd better give me an explanation. Otherwise, I'll strip you of your qualifications. On the side of the human race, a large number of angry shouts sounded out, causing the other 3 races to sneer. The human race wasn't united at all. Of course, those that weren't convinced of Lin Ling's strength came from the myriad Saint territory, and the martial artists of the mortal world's 3 mystic realms all supported Lin Ling. Excuse me, isn't the first elimination based on who ascends the giant rock martial platform? At this moment, Lin Ling finally spoke. That's right. However, the first statue was destroyed and the King of Exalted Light disappeared. Don't you think you owe us an explanation? What does the disappearance of the revered King's light have to do with me, and it's also none of your business. It's enough that I can ascend the giant rock martial platform. Lin Ling coldly looked at heaven-blessed martial artist and spat out a sentence indifferently. None of your business. This thought appeared in the minds of countless people. Lin Ling was still as arrogant as ever. Tianzong Divine Marshal's pupils constricted. He was speechless for a moment because Lin Ling was right. It was enough that he could climb up the platform. It must be that the first stone sculpture has been around for too long, so it suddenly shattered. Lin Ling, you're so lucky. I don't think so. Maybe Lin Ling did something. In any case, we demons do not recognize his qualifications. Gradually, a large number of disgruntled voices drifted out. Lin Ling, a piece of trash, a piece of trash. If I were you, I would have already scrammed back home to avoid making a fool of myself. The experts from the Grand Saint realm cursed angrily, causing the primeval spiritual master and Shinho Zi to laugh. They wanted to see if Lin Ling still had the nerve to participate. Unfortunately, Lin Ling's expression was still calm. Instead, he looked at the noisy crowd and said, "Not convinced? Come, I'll kill whoever comes." Hearing this, many people were even more furious. In their minds, the first stone sculpture was the strongest of the human race. If it did not recognize Lin Ling, then Lin Ling was definitely not qualified. Perhaps Lin Ling's talent was too weak, or perhaps he had too few laws, or perhaps his realm was not up to standard, etc. But Lin Ling was lucky enough to pass. He was actually so arrogant and said that he would kill whoever came. What right did he have? It seems that you've angered the 4 races. I think you should give an explanation. As long as you're honest, perhaps the 4 races will spare your life. But at this time, a low voice came from the sky. It was the great demon king of the demon race. because even they could not understand how Lin Ling succeeded. Moreover, Lin Ling had repeatedly stirred up huge waves in the demon race, causing the great demon king of the demon race to want to kill him as soon as possible. However, what was disgusting was that after the great demon king of the demon race finished speaking, the primeval spiritual master and the rest also echoed. How ugly. I've long heard that the giants of the human world colluded with the demon race. Today I see that it's true. The martial artists of the three mysterious realms felt disgusted. However, the primeval spiritual master and the rest did not care about this. They just wanted Lin Ling to die. Rumble. Almost at the same time in the sky, a large hand fiercely grabbed at Lin Ling, and a terrifying demonic aura swept over. The great demon king of the demon race had made his move, wanting to kill Lin Ling. Moreover, he didn't even give any warning before making his move. It was extremely ruthless. Lin Ling. The seven emperors did not expect to encounter such a situation, and they immediately shouted, "Stop." However, at this moment, a golden tortoise shell appeared in the sky, blocking that terrifying palm. Demon Kingdom's Crystal Master, you want an explanation? Kame's Spiritual Master also appeared in the sky, overlooking everyone. The Demon Kingdom's Crystal Master sneered and disappeared without a trace. He wanted to see what explanation Kame's Spiritual Master would give. If Kame's Spiritual Master could not convince the masses, even if the demon race did not make a move, the human race's experts would definitely kill Lin Ling. However, his guess was correct. Those who had a grudge against Lin Ling naturally would not waste this opportunity. Kame's Spiritual Master looked at the vast crowd and finally said, "The Emperor's throne handover." As soon as his voice fell, the 100-year mountain fell silent. What, the Emperor's throne handover? The first to let out a cry of horror was the heaven-blessed martial artist. He naturally knew what the Emperor's throne handover was. How is it possible? The first Emperor of the human race, how could he give the Emperor's throne to the crippled Lin Ling? Some ancient experts also knew about the Emperor's throne handover, so they said in shock. At this moment, the human race's experts were all stunned. So were the demon race, ghost race, and deity race. The so-called Emperor's throne handover meant that Lin Ling had taken over the position of the first Emperor of the human race. This Emperor's throne handover was very terrifying. It represented the leader of the human race and was also the strongest expert. However, was Lin Ling qualified? Nonsense. The heaven-blessed martial artist roared. He could not believe this result because he was the first emperor. Just because he's a cripple? Prince Xiaoya was also extremely unwilling. Gradually, those voices of dissatisfaction once again floated like the waves of the sea. This little guy is actually Emperor's throne handover. The seven emperors gasped as they stared at Lin Ling. Only then did they realize that Lin Ling was still walking down the giant stone steps, as if he did not hear the angry shouts around him. He's calm enough. If it were me, I would find it difficult to keep calm at this moment. Emperor Lisho smiled bitterly. Ordinary people would not be able to keep calm in the face of the four races' experts. At this moment, Lin Ling finally arrived at the giant stone martial arts platform. Everyone on the platform stared at Lin Ling with a grave expression. You're talking nonsense? Lin Ling finally spoke. Then may I ask who can shatter the first stone statue? Chapter 2063. Chaotic battle, that's right. Who could do it? Was there anyone from the god race who could? Was there anyone from the ghost race? Was there anyone from the demon race? Let's not talk about the distant but the near. Was there anyone who could do it? Was there anyone who could do it? No one could. Since you can't do it, shut up. Lin Ling shouted. He had been silent before, but now he was like an unsheathed sword. He didn't speak much, but he suppressed the four races. The result was that everyone shut up. Although they were unwilling, they couldn't break the first stone statue. So what right did they have to speak? All right, the human race's contestant has been decided. At this time an old voice sounded. Everyone saw an old man standing in the clouds. It was the guardian of the mortal realm. Although he was seriously injured in the nation of gods, he naturally came for such a grand occasion. As soon as his words fell, everyone recognized Lin Ling's qualifications. How lucky! However, many people were still jealous. No matter. With his strength, he won't be able to escape death in the end. Are you from the human race? Why are you speaking for an outsider? I'm just telling the truth. The crowd was still not optimistic about Lin Ling, but on the human side many people supported Lin Ling. After all, they still remembered the legend that Lin Ling had created. As for the god race, there were many who were gloating. Of course, those top geniuses didn't care about Lin Ling. Instead, they stared at their opponents. At present there were close to 100 people on each stage. With 4 stages there were almost 400 people. With so many people, it was impossible to fight one by one. Therefore, the second round of eliminations immediately followed. The 4 races stared at the 4 stages and their breathing quickened. There was no doubt about the strength of the contestants on the stages. They were the strongest existences below the ancient giants. There were geniuses of various races and old powerhouses and so on, who would be left in the end. After the ancient giants of the 4 races discussed, the second round of eliminations is called chaotic battle. On each stage 20 people will be left. The weak will be eliminated. A shocking voice finally came from the sky. There were close to 100 people on a martial stage and only 20 would remain. This meant that 80 people would be eliminated. It was cruel, but it was also very realistic. After all, the remaining people would have to compete for 5 spots and participate in the battle with the ancient giants. The weak would naturally be eliminated. Prepare for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, then begin. A ghost emperor from the ghost race said coldly. On the martial stage an oppressive wind permeated the air. Every expert looked at each other, not wanting to be eliminated by the other. As for Lin Ling, he was also looking at the martial stage. His keen soul force detected that heaven-warping martial prowess, Prince of Heaven Unfettered, and the others had greatly increased in strength. They were actually the most terrifying existences on the martial stage. Unfettered Prince, you used to cultivate the Tao of slaughter to wipe out my entire sect. Today you shall die. After 1 incense stick's worth of time, the martial platform finally erupted with a terrifying murderous intent. A white-haired old man appeared first and charged straight at Prince Xiaoyao. You're courting death. Someone shouted in a low voice. It seemed that this person had quite a good relationship with Prince Xiaoyao. However, just as that person was about to make a move, Prince Xiaoyao stopped him with a cold smile on his face. I have killed a lot of people. So where are you from? A terrifying cloud appeared on Prince Xiaoyao's right hand. It was formed by his murderous intent. Before I die, let me tell you. This old man is from Lingyun Battle Sect and is a supreme elder. The old man's strength had reached rank 1 martial emperor realm. He erupted with 15,000 law energy. His weapon and martial arts were supported by many law energy. 15,000 law energy. He is even more powerful than an ordinary rank 1 martial emperor. However, he is still inferior to Desolation's son. Prince Xiaoyao will definitely defeat him. I know. I hope we can see Prince Xiaoyao's full strength this time. The human race's side was filled with anticipation. The first elimination battle was already very crazy. Kill the heavens, kill the earth, kill all living things. What was terrifying was that Prince Xiaoyao revealed an evil charming smile. He spread out his hands and red clouds bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they pounced on the old man. Rumble. It was as if all the law of slaughter in the world had merged and erupted with 30,000 law energy. Prince Xiaoyao was only a rank 1 martial emperor. Boom. The old man was blasted to death. Before he died, he did not expect that Prince Xiaoyao knew twice as many law energy as him. Too terrifying. He has twice as many law energy as his opponent and his talent is not weak. I'm afraid he has reached rank 6 divine rank. The experts of various races were shocked because Prince Xiaoyao had won too easily. If Prince Xiaoyao was already like this, the heavenly martial emperors would definitely not be weak. How can he be so powerful? Yu and the others' expressions changed drastically. Lin Ling said with a grave expression, there is a mysterious aura on his body. It seems like he has some kind of treasure. It seems like he has obtained great benefits in the nation of gods. If we meet him, we will be in trouble. Prince Ling frowned. He and Prince Xiaoyao were both rank 1 martial emperors, but their opponent's law energy could not be underestimated. Your law energy should not be less than 30,000, right? At this time Lin Ling laughed. Prince Ling and the others laughed. They were Desolation's sons and naturally had 30,000 law energy. Lin Ling die. At this moment someone pounced over. To everyone's surprise, this person was actually at the 10th level of the martial saint realm. He wanted to eliminate Lin Ling with such strength? Lin Ling was stunned. You are not allowed to help him. I want to fight him one-on-one and eliminate him. Do you dare? The expert was not weak. He was an experienced expert. As soon as his words fell, many people on the martial stage became excited. Lin Ling was a cripple and should be the first to be eliminated. In this way they had hopes of entering the top 20. I don't know where your confidence comes from. Lin Ling said indifferently. I naturally know where your strength comes from. It comes from the ancient heavenly crow and a mysterious ancient snake. But on the martial stage, other than weapons, no other items can be used. So, you are not worth mentioning. The expert laughed confidently. Then he looked at Yu and the others and said, "You are not allowed to help. Otherwise don't blame us for bullying you with our numbers. If we attack you, all of you will die." His voice was filled with pressure. Yu and the others were stunned. Wu Sheng was a rank 10 martial emperor and he was threatening them? All of us will die? Yuanshi Zi and the others sneered. So it's Wei Qianba of the Mortal Realms 3 mysterious. I heard that you are very close to the ancient Ji family. Today you must be here for revenge. But Lin Ling, let me do it. I want to see how we will die. Stone Deity walked out from beside Lin Ling and said, "How dare you?" Wei Qianba pointed at Stone Deity. Stone Deity frowned. He was the number 1 old ancestor of the Stone clan. Why was Wei Qianba so arrogant when he met him? He called me by name. So let me do it. Lin Ling waved his hand and walked out step by step. Below the martial stage, the crowd's eyes flickered. Lin Ling couldn't use any external items and he had missed the cultivation time. Was he Wu Sheng's rank 10 martial emperor opponent? Although Lin Ling can't be compared to the real big shots in the mortal realm, but ordinary experts can't afford to offend him. I think he can win. I think so too. But I'm afraid it will be a tough win. If that's the case, then there will be more people who will eliminate him. Chapter 2064. The Primordial Spiritual Beings Challenge. On the martial stage of the human race, Tianzong Divine Martial Artist was also looking at Lin Ling. Many top experts of the divine race and the demon race were also looking at him. Because ordinary experts did not dare to eliminate them, they were quite relaxed. Most importantly, they wanted to see how useless Lin Ling was. You finally agreed to the battle? Tell me, what's your current cultivation and how many laws do you have? Wei Qianba sneered when he saw Lin Ling coming out. First level martial emperor realm. Lin Ling did not hide anything. Seems like the 7 emperors have spent a lot of effort on you. However, have you reached 5,000 laws? I heard that the burning law poison has burned many of your laws. Perhaps, you are the first martial emperor realm expert who has not reached 10,000 laws. Wei Qianba was still confident because the burning law poison was something that even the ancient giants could not cure. Therefore Lin Ling must have been injured by the poison. Cut the crap. If you want to eliminate me, you will die. Lin Ling was too lazy to talk nonsense. Even though I'm only at the 10th level of the martial sacred realm, I have the Beast King Divine Hammer which can reach 8,000 laws. You are no match for me. Wei Qianba sneered and patted his waist. A golden hammer appeared in his hand and the moment the hammer appeared, it shone brightly and the roar of a Beast King could be heard. This hammer had more than 4,000 laws. It was a weapon that was half a step into the 3-star immortal weapon level. Human realm legend Lin Ling facing my Beast King Divine Hammer, you can only regret it in the underworld. I have avenged the Ji family. Let me tell you, my Divine Hammer comes from the nation of gods. Wei Qianba's aura became stronger and stronger like the king of beasts. No wonder he dared to appear here with his cultivation. You talk too much nonsense. However, Lin Ling shook his head and shot towards the expert. Wait. However, just as Lin Ling was about to attack, Wei Qianba suddenly roared, causing Lin Ling to frown. What was he trying to do? You must tell your friend to stay away. Wei Qianba said coldly. Why? Lin Ling was puzzled. Are you stupid? Because when I kill you later, your friends will help, and they are all stronger than you, so I can't underestimate them. So for the sake of fairness, tell them to get lost. Wei Qianba shouted angrily, blaming Lin Ling for not being tactful. Too stupid. Lin Ling was even more astonished. With Wei Qianba's cultivation, how could Lin Ling, need help? I think too highly of you. Lin Ling took a step forward, and the black tortoise's 9 steps appeared. He arrived in front of Wei Qianba and punched out. Wei Qianba was instantly enraged. Lin Ling attacked as he pleased, and it could be considered a sneak attack. He smashed his divine hammer at Lin Ling, and the angry roars of 100 beasts resounded like the beating of a heavenly drum. Boom. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling's fist collided with the divine hammer. The laws roared, but they seemed evenly matched. What? He's fine? Wei Qianba swept his gaze and immediately gasped. The power of 8,000 laws couldn't kill Lin Ling? The crowd's expression changed slightly. Although Lin Ling had declined, his strength was still not weak. If that's all, when I use the power of all creations, you still can't block it. Wei Qianba's body became tall like a giant, and he punched again. Boom. Boom. Unfortunately, in the face of Lin Ling's Azura demon bone, this power was too weak. Lin Ling directly used his fist to block it. Boom. With a boom, the martial stage also swayed. Wei Qianba's expression changed drastically. Compared to him, Lin Ling was more like a beast king. How was this possible? Looks like I have to unleash the full power of the divine hammer. He looked at Lin Ling with a serious expression. Just as he was about to swing his hammer, he suddenly realized that the divine hammer in his hand seemed to have become lighter. Your divine hammer is broken. Lin Ling pointed into the distance. On the ground in the distance, a hammer was lying there. The handle of the hammer was actually broken by Lin Ling's fist. My immortal weapon. Wei Qianba was stunned and even dumbfounded. With your strength you dare to fight me? You have the nerve to say that you don't want my friend to help? Lin Ling said coldly. His footsteps did not stop. He came in front of Wei Qianba and punched out fiercely. Currently, his physical strength could be said to be number one in the mortal world. 10,000 creations unification. Wei Qianba's face turned pale, and he erupted with all his strength. However, his right arm was broken by Lin Ling's punch, and his body was forced to retreat. I admit defeat. Wei Qianba shouted anxiously, but Lin Ling still rushed forward as if the invincible god of war had arrived. I've already admitted defeat. What else do you want? Enough. Seeing Lin Ling's terrifying aura, Wei Qianba's face became more and more angry. Lin Ling, you're going too far. You don't want to fight just because you admit defeat? You're thinking too lightly. Boom. Lin Ling jumped up and smashed down like a meteor and punched out. Boom. A big hole was smashed in the martial platform, and Wei Qianba was blasted out. However, Lin Ling turned and walked back, leaving the giant stone martial platform somewhat silent. The crowd below was also somewhat silent. Although Lin Ling was poisoned by the burning law, he was once the son of desolation. Ordinary people were ultimately not his match. Lin Ling, good job. Boom. Xianxia and the others immediately laughed. They did not know Lin Ling's specific strength. Only Yu and the others knew. They all walked towards Lin Ling and wiped away Lin Ling's sweat. Their gentle and considerate appearance undoubtedly made many people extremely jealous. On the giant stone martial platform, the experts were even more jealous. At present, there were only 60 people left on the giant stone martial platform. Lin Ling had 5 people beside him, namely Yu and Xianxia, the spirit tribe's crown prince and stone god. The others were all eliminated. The remaining experts were also fighting, but more of them were looking at each other. At this moment, a cold gaze pierced through the void and fell on Lin Ling. Lin Ling frowned slightly and looked at that person. It was actually Xianxia. How about we fight? Xianxia spoke, and his voice was not soft. The entire giant stone martial platform fell silent, and all the battles stopped. Xianxia wants to fight Lin Ling? The crowd below was also shocked and extremely expectant. Xianxia is a human immortal powerhouse. His cultivation has reached Wuxia's 3rd realm, and his laws are not weak. Can Lin Ling fight him? The 7 emperors and the others were worried. Even if Lin Ling was not poisoned, it would be difficult for him to fight Xianxia, let alone now that he was poisoned. Interesting, Lin Ling's pace is about to stop. What human realm legend, he's about to be eliminated in the 2nd round. He said he wants to get 1st place. Now let's see how he gets it. Without the ancient divine crow and the mysterious ancient snake, Lin Ling is definitely not Xianxia's match. Xianxia is definitely not Wei Qianba's match. The crowd was also discussing. It was not that they looked down on Lin Ling, but their thoughts were the same as the 7 emperors. Even if Lin Ling was not poisoned, he might not be Xianxia's match. Lin Ling, I'll do it. Xianxia looked at Lin Ling and said. He was his master, so let him do it. Lin Ling patted his shoulder and shook his head. What, you don't dare? Chapter 2065. Cripple? In this chaotic battle, only the strong will survive and the trash will die. You Lin Ling will definitely die if you dare to come here. However, if you want to blame someone, blame me. If it wasn't for my burning magic poison, you would definitely be famous today. The primeval spiritual master said again, trying to provoke Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling's expression remained calm, unmoved. This was because the burning magic poison was not poison to Lin Ling but nourishment. Therefore he would not be angered at all. How calm. Xianxia frowned and suddenly laughed. Sooner or later we'll have to settle our grudges. Don't you want to end it all? Don't try to provoke me. In fact, even if you don't fight me, I will still kill you. Finally, Lin Ling said calmly, however, I can give you a chance. What opportunity? Instead of getting angry, Xianxia Jinren asked with a smile. Kill yourself. Perhaps your death won't be too painful. Lin Ling spat out. Ah. As soon as he finished speaking, the primeval spiritual master laughed out loud. The crowd below also roared with laughter. To say such words to a giant of the human realm, this was simply overestimating one's capabilities. Lin Ling seemed to still think that he was the son of desolation. It's easy to change mountains and rivers, but it's hard to change one's nature. At first I thought this sentence was wrong, but now I agree because you, Lin Ling, are still as arrogant as ever. Spiritual Master Primordial Beginning walked out step by step, and the experts on the boulder martial platform all made way. Watch the primeval spiritual master eliminate Lin Ling. How many moves do you think Lin Ling can withstand? Even I am no match for primeval Jinren. As for Lin Ling, I am confident that I can kill him in 3 moves, so primeval Jinren should be able to kill him in 1 move. Those top experts said coldly. It was time to eliminate the trash Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, it was as if he did not hear the voices around him. He walked out step by step. It was time for his agreement with the primeval spiritual master to end. You caused me to lose my disciple and my daughter. Today I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. The primordial beginning spiritual master stopped in his tracks. Spiraling airwaves erupted from his body and soared into the sky, causing the sky to tremble. Instantly, the experts of the 4 stages all looked over because that was the strongest aura they had seen so far. The primeval chi became more and more terrifying, and the power of law became even more turbulent. 3rd level Martial Emperor, 40,000 laws. Staring at the sky, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They did not expect the primeval spiritual being's law to be so terrifying. Previously, Prince Xiaoyao's eruption of 30,000 laws had already alarmed the 100 Years Mountain, let alone now. As expected of the primeval royal family of the Saint's great domain. With this power of law, you can do whatever you want in the mortal world. Looks like the primeval Jinren will definitely enter the top 20. Perhaps it's possible to enter the top 5. Many people whispered to each other. At this moment, no one believed that Lin Ling could win. This was because the primeval beginning Jinren surpassed Lin Ling in both cultivation and the number of laws. Not to mention Lin Ling was just a cripple. Rumble. The wind and clouds billowed, sweeping across heaven and earth. The primeval chi permeated the air, and in the center the primeval beginning Jinren looked down at Lin Ling like a divine king. His every word and action represented the laws of heaven and earth. Moreover, the shocking thing was that the primeval beginning Jinren did not make a move. He was still increasing his power of law, preparing for the most terrifying attack. Apparently, although Lin Ling had declined, his glory in the past was too great, so the primeval beginning Jinren made a move with all his might. 2 spiraling primeval chi appeared in the sky, like a huge sun, and his laws had almost reached 40,000. The laws are not bad, but it's a pity that your talent is too low, only a 4th level divine rank. Everyone thought that Lin Ling would be facing a formidable enemy, but to their surprise Lin Ling said softly. Such words were undoubtedly shocking. However, in their eyes Lin Ling moved. He did not dodge, instead, he shot toward the primeval beginning Jinren, as if he was going to resist the primeval beginning Jinren's terrifying laws. Is he crazy? Everyone's scalp went numb. Lin Ling was simply committing suicide. Facing the primeval beginning Jinren's terrifying laws, Lin Ling should have chosen to dodge, not meet force with force. Someone like you dares to call yourself a human legend? You overestimate yourself. Seeing Lin Ling's actions, the primeval beginning Jinren smiled contemptuously. He pointed his right hand, and the primeval chi flowed out like waves rushing toward Lin Ling. Rumble. The appearance of the river of laws was shocking. Boom. Lin Ling's steps were stopped. In front of him was the power of law that could be broken, and he seemed to be drowned at any time. Seeing this, many people held their breaths. Some were happy, some were disdainful, and some were worried. For example, the 7 emperors, Little Flame, Princess Fire Spirit, and the others. However, there were also people who were not worried about Lin Ling, and their expressions were extremely calm. For example, Yu and Yuer and came Spiritual Master. If this Lin Ling is even weaker than the primeval beginning Jinren, then he can die. In the distance, on the giant stone martial arts platform of the gods, 9 Sun's lips curled into a smile. Lin Ling. The eyes of Tianzong martial god and Prince Xiaoyao flashed. They wanted to see if this old enemy of theirs was still as powerful as they thought. Under everyone's gaze, they saw that Lin Ling had disappeared, as if he had turned into ashes. However, Those who were stronger could see that Lin Ling was following the primeval qi and rushing toward the primeval beginning Jinren. What kind of powerful defense was this? What kind of terrifying talent was this? Just as they were in shock, the sky in front of the primeval beginning Jinren exploded, and a mighty demonic aura swept out, as if a great demon king had descended. Azure demon bone. A terrifying punch with ferocious power was thrown out ruthlessly. Boom. The sound was deafening. It was as if a bomb had been thrown into the torrential primeval qi, splashing water everywhere. A figure flew backward like a cannonball, finally crashing into his own primeval qi. Drops of blood dripped down from the sky and onto the ground. Drip, drip, drip. Countless people looked at the scene in the sky, their eyes trembling. In the sky, the primeval beginning Jinren's right arm was hanging down, as if it was broken. His face was pale and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. On the other side, Lin Ling's blue and white robes fluttered in the sky, as if he was the immovable wisdom king. Lin Ling actually had the upper hand in their first confrontation? Wasn't Lin Ling crippled? The entire 100 Years Mountain was filled with voices, and no one could believe their eyes. In the past, Lin Ling had created countless miracles and became the #1 genius of the mortal world. Later on he fell and everyone was disappointed in him and even pitied him. But now Lin Ling had become the #1 genius once again. He was not crippled. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Why do you have so many laws? The primeval beginning Jinren let out an angry roar. Lin Ling's talent and physical body were stronger than his, but his power of laws was stronger, so he was confident that he could kill Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was not afraid of his laws, which meant that Lin Ling had laws that were not weaker than his. Although this was just a guess, it was still extremely terrifying. Chapter 2066. Killed with one strike. No one could answer all of this. It could only be said that the current Lin Ling had exceeded everyone's logic and imagination. It's time for your nonsense to end. Lin Ling's eyes were extremely calm as he walked towards Xianxia Jinren. He did not reveal his strength. Everything was for this day. He wanted to see who wanted to kill him. Whoever wanted to destroy his rainforest holy land, he would return the favor. Seeing Lin Ling walking towards him step by step, Primeval Immortal's expression finally changed dramatically. At this moment he could not see through Lin Ling. At this moment he panicked. In the final analysis, it was because Lin Ling at his peak was too terrifying and had created too many miracles. I'll help you. However, just as he was panicking, a cold voice rang out from behind him. Black light bloomed, and it was as if night had fallen. A man in a black robe floated there. A bow appeared in his hand and he was about to shoot it into the sky. That arrow pierced through the earth. It was Shinho's son. Moreover, he also erupted with the surging power of the laws as he aimed an arrow at Lin Ling. The strength of this arrow caused the pressure on many powerhouses on the martial platform to increase. In this way it would be two human immortals fighting Lin Ling at the same time. When they saw this, the ground was filled with the sound of rapid breathing. There were even some people who didn't even have the time to curse him for being despicable. Lin Ling also frowned. Just as he was about to do something, Xianxia Jinren suddenly laughed. Lin Ling, do you know? My daughter worshipped you since she was young. Because of you, she severed our father-daughter relationship. So, I crippled her and threw her into the primeval imperial clan's primeval worm prison. Every day, every night, she will be bitten by poisonous worms. Moreover, I even broke her 4 limbs and all the bones in her body, making her life worse than death. Haha, all of this is because of you, Lin Ling. The primordial Lord of Heaven became hysterical, his eyes filled with madness. Those who knew the primeval spiritual master sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't expect the primeval spiritual master to be so ruthless that he would kill his own daughter. Primeval spiritual master, what did you do to junior sister Gu Er? On the stage, Xianxia Zi's eyes turned red. His master was not a human. Lin Ling was also stunned for a moment. Then his eyes turned red. A terrifying killing intent erupted from his body. He thought of the innocent girl in the primitive royal family. He thought of the shy girl who worshipped him. Bastard, you won't even spare your own daughter. Yu and the others had tears in their eyes. They could imagine Xianxia Guer's situation. Moreover, they had made things difficult for her in the past. At this moment they felt extremely guilty. She can't even move and is bitten every day. Moreover, her face is disfigured, so she doesn't dare to come and see you. However, she calls your name every day. She said that she can die without regrets because in this life, she finally saw the person she worships. The primeval spiritual master laughed crazily. He seemed to be crazy, but in reality he was also angering Lin Ling, because he was secretly brewing an even more terrifying power of law. You must die. Lin Ling's expression was somewhat sinister. He finally spat out a sentence. His voice was calm, but his killing intent was terrifying. It actually caused everyone on the ground to feel a chill in their hearts. Was this still the crippled Lin Ling? Moreover, in their eyes, Lin Ling seemed to have gone crazy as he pounced towards the primeval spiritual master. This kid is really sincere. Seeing Lin Ling lose his mind, many people secretly admired him. Lin Ling, don't be fooled. The 7 emperors and the others anxiously shouted, because in front of Lin Ling, the arrow from the divine marquis was already aimed at him. In fact, he should be waiting for Lin Ling to arrive. Lin Ling. Everyone who knew Lin Ling shouted at the top of their lungs. As for the son of famine and the others, they sneered. Lin Ling's personality had a huge flaw, and that was that he placed too much importance on friendship. For the sake of friendship, he could attack regardless of the consequences, regardless of whether he went to the ends of the earth or to the underworld. The primeval spiritual master was clearly very familiar with Lin Ling's personality, so he attacked Lin Ling's weakness. He come at me. Sure enough, when Lin Ling pounced over, the divine marquis finally sneered. The huge bow in his hand shot out, causing the sky to explode. An arrow pierced through the sky. Divine marquis heaven-piercing arrow. Without 50,000 law enforcers, no one could block this arrow. Primeval world extermination. The primeval spiritual master also pushed his hands forward. The torrent of laws was vast and mighty, and it actually followed the divine arrow out. With the combination of these two terrifying laws, without 60,000 law enforcers, they would definitely die. Although Lin Ling's talent was higher than theirs, his laws couldn't compare to theirs. He definitely wouldn't be able to block the attacks of 2 human immortal giants. I never thought that in the second round, such a terrifying battle would erupt on the human race's martial stage. At this moment, all the experts of the 4 clans looked over. The weaker ones felt an extremely great pressure. This time, Lin Ling shouldn't be able to block it. Countless gazes stared at Lin Ling. Some sighed, some sneered, and some were filled with anticipation. However, what was surprising was that in the face of that terrifying power of law, Lin Ling still did not retreat. Instead, he fearlessly charged towards the primeval spiritual master. Primeval spiritual master, he Lin Ling owed her a favor. Today, if he Lin Ling retreated, then he Lin Ling would no longer have the qualifications to be a human. So what if it was a conspiracy? So what if it was a provocation? Lin Ling knew that it was a provocation, but he couldn't suppress his anger. Since that was the case, then he would let his anger explode. Only this sword, the hegemon of the world, sings. Facing the joint attack of 2 human immortal giants, relying on the physical strength of the Azure Devil Bone was obviously unrealistic. Therefore, Lin Ling touched the ancient sword behind him with his right hand. At this moment, the ancient sword finally erupted with a dazzling light. He was the 3rd-rank Wu Sheng, the slayer of 3 corpses, the Azure Devil Bone. All of his terrifying trump cards erupted. 50,000 laws, earth-shattering eruption, in addition to the 4-star immortal weapon, the hegemon sword, which increased the power of law by 10,000, was able to cut the heavens. Unfortunately, this ferocious light burst forth too late. Everyone only saw the primeval great precepts drown Lin Ling, and the terrifying giant arrow that could shoot through a country killed Lin Ling. At this moment, those who knew Lin Ling shouted even louder, as if they saw the number 1 genius of the human realm, Lin Ling, fall. Even Yu Yu and the others clenched their small hands. Lin Ling fought against 2 human immortal giants. Their confidence was not very strong. But at this moment, the sword light appeared. The space split open and the great law bloomed, forming a lightning pool. Moreover, the terrifying space law actually condensed, turning into a sword that didn't look huge. But this was more like a real sword. Boom. Under the sword, the giant arrow was instantly shattered, and the terrifying torrent of law seemed to be cut off, shooting in all directions. That sword had severed everything. What? Some experts looked as if they were struck by lightning, their eyes fixed on the sky. The ground was also dead silent. Cripple? Or cripple? If they had some doubts when Lin Ling defeated the primeval spiritual master, then now, any doubts were blown away by the wind. Chapter 2067. Round 3 begins. How could they know that although the 2 worldly immortal giants had a total of 100,000 laws, it was obvious that they did not come from the same person, so the power of the law did not count as 100,000. Lin Ling had erupted with 60,000 laws, but his talent was even stronger and more terrifying, so he was able to cut off the 2's laws. Of course, if the primeval Jinren's talent was not lower than Lin Ling's, then Lin Ling might not be able to cut it off. Impossible. Xianxia Jinren and Xinhou Zi roared at the same time. In their eyes, a sword came from the horizon. The power of the law made them unable to resist. After a gust of wind, a sword mark appeared on Xinhou Zi's neck. He touched his neck and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. The only thing left in his mind was the scene of him mocking Lin Ling. Poison of burning law? This is great. I didn't expect that you, the primeval Jinren, would obtain such a treasure from the martial god realm and poison Lin Ling. Then are we still going to chase after Lin Ling? Chase? Why should we chase? In fact, if I knew who wanted to kill Lin Ling, I would be the first to disagree. Because letting Lin Ling die now would be letting Lin Ling off easy. Letting him fall from heaven to hell before dying would be the greatest torture. That's a good suggestion. I'm really looking forward to next year's tournament. I wonder how Lin Ling will react when he is trampled by the 4 great clans? At that time, he was smiling happily and contentedly. But now he could only smile bitterly. Plop. Almost at the same time, a head fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, shocking everyone. On the other hand, Primeval Spiritual Master had been sliced in half and had fallen onto the martial arts platform. However, he was clearly not dead and was trying to stand up with difficulty. However, he quickly stopped because he saw a slender figure walking towards him step by step. Was Lin Ling. The Primeval Spiritual Master's breathing slowed down. He saw that Lin Ling's expression was very cold. I've said it before. If you kill yourself obediently, you won't be tortured. A cold voice floated out of Lin Ling's mouth, causing the Primordial Spiritual Master's body to tremble. Then an arm grabbed him by the head, and a mysterious power surged into his body. At first, that kind of power was itchy, incomparably itchy, making him want to dig out his skin. Then came the coldness. The coldness seeped into his heart and reached his soul. Next was heat, as if he was inside a volcano. However, he couldn't sense any flames. This feeling was simply the greatest torture in life. Only those who had experienced it would know. At this moment, he suddenly regretted infuriating Lin Ling, because the price he had to pay was terrifying. If I want to torture you, I have thousands of ways to do so. Xianxia Jinren's angry voice rang in his ears, making him speak with difficulty. Kill me, kill me. At this moment he finally understood what Lin Ling meant. Sometimes death was a relief. Now he wanted to die, but it was very difficult. Because your daughter objected to your actions, you crippled her and tortured her. I really don't understand how you're a father and son. No matter how vicious a tiger is, it won't eat its own children. Lin Ling's eyes were extremely cold. You tortured Xianxia Guzi, so I'll torture you even more horrifying than her. Because you're not human. As the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao, Lin Ling did indeed have a lot of ways to torture people. Now kill me. The Primordial Spiritual Master's body seemed to have a large number of insects crawling on it. It was frightening just looking at it. Okay, kill him. As the former disciple of the Primordial Spiritual Master, the Primordial Spiritual Master clenched his fists tightly. His master was indeed despicable. Finally, this is for your daughter, Xianxia Guzi. In the end, Lin Ling coldly shouted and clenched his fist. The Primordial Spiritual Master's head exploded and he died completely. However, a strand of yellow spring flame floated over and burned his soul, bringing him into the Purple Mansion. Treat him well. Lin Ling muttered to himself. In the Purple Mansion, the Yellow Spring Army sneered. Treat him well? They definitely understood. After that, Lin Ling walked towards Yu and the rest. When he stopped, he let out a cold voice. I know that many people here want to see a good show and many people want me dead. Especially after I was poisoned by the flame poison, everyone wants to step on my head. Sigh. Unfortunately, you're all going to be disappointed. Anyone who wants me dead, who wants to trample on my people, please step forward. I'll show you what hell really is. Sigh. His voice floated out like the wind, reaching the 4 giant stone martial platforms and even the entire 100 Years Mountain. What is hell? Sigh. That tyrannical voice was like a thick threat, and also like a sword hanging on everyone's neck. If you dare to come, then go to hell. Bastard. Bastard. In an instant, the experts of various clans had ugly expressions. Lin Ling was too arrogant. However, they endured it. Now Lin Ling had proved that he was not a cripple. If ordinary people wanted to kill him, they would only die. Moreover, the facts also proved that Lin Ling was still a monster. This made those who wanted to see a good show feel disgusted as if they had eaten a fly. Obviously, no one dared to challenge Lin Ling. Although Lin Ling was a bit tyrannical, he had killed 2 human Immortal Realm experts. This was the strength of the Son of Desolation. I didn't expect that he didn't die but became even stronger. Interesting. Interesting, he's too weak. I'm not interested in fighting with him. Yes. 60,000 loss. Not bad, he's invincible in the first level martial emperor realm. However, he should have used his full strength and we haven't. Bastard. The top geniuses of various clans said coldly. Among them, the Son of Desolation sneered. Obviously, although Lin Ling could not be underestimated, they were still confident. Lin Ling. Yes. Human realm legend Lin Ling. Yes. Good job. Yes. On the human race's side, a large number of cheers rang out. The genius Lin Ling in their impression had once again created a miracle and returned to the divine altar. Moreover, he had announced to all his opponents that if they dared to come, they would be waiting to go to hell. How domineering. The human race had always lacked a pillar of support and now they felt that it was Lin Ling. Because only Lin Ling dared to speak so arrogantly. Below the giant stone martial platform, the 7 emperors laughed. In the past, we had always protected him, but from now on, he has started to protect us. Spread your wings and fly high, your wings are full. I Emperor Li Shou like being protected by him. Those experts who had a good relationship with Lin Ling felt gratified. Lin Ling, stay here. I'm going to the great sage realm. Yes. Spiritual master came floated in the sky and said to Lin Ling. It seemed that he was going to save Xianxia Guzi. Lin Ling immediately relaxed and nodded with a smile. He chatted with Yu and the others, looking extremely relaxed. After the second round of eliminations, only 20 people from the 4 clans were left. A total of 80 people were left. Next was the most crucial battle between the 4 clans. The 4 giant stone martial platforms combined to form an even larger martial platform. They would fight by drawing lots. Once they lost, they would be eliminated directly. Chapter 2068. The shocking strength of the experts of various races. As a result, the experts of the 4 clans became excited. The following battle would definitely be exciting. As for the experts who were about to participate in the competition, they were also extremely excited. Moreover, they hoped that they would not be eliminated. There's no doubt about the strength of the remaining 80 people. They're all giants of their respective races. We're in for a bit of trouble. After Lin Ling and the others left the martial stage, the stone god looked at the sky and said, Haha, many of these 80 people aren't strong. Their talents on the tree of talents are above average. As a result, they seem to have a lot of laws, but in reality that's all there is to it. Lin Ling said with a smile. The stone god's pupils constricted. Lin Ling was so calm? He was extremely nervous. He then looked at Yu and Yuer and the others and found that they were also extremely calm. These little fellows are more capable than an old man like me. Sigh, I'm getting old, I'm losing face. Stone deity shook his head helplessly. What is a genius? Geniuses are all so confident. Next, the third round of elimination began. At the beginning, it was the devil race's experts who went up on stage, and their opponents were humans. Hehe, the only outcome for you is death. That ghost coldly spoke, extremely domineering. Let's see how it goes. The human expert was very old. Although he looked calm, he was also very arrogant. The two of them soon began to fight. The ghost had a mysterious origin and exploded with terrifying methods. He actually froze the human elder and then devoured his soul. Kiki, humans are nourishment. When that ghost won, it released a sinister laugh, making many human experts frown. The other party was too arrogant. What kind of technique is that? So mysterious. Looking at the martial stage, the expressions of the spiritual race crown prince and the others changed. The ghost eye mystique is, in fact, not even worth mentioning. Lin Ling's expression was a little cold. If you meet me, kill him in one move. Hearing this, Xianxia Zi and the spirit tribe crown prince's eyes flashed. Lin Ling seemed to be very knowledgeable. He seemed to know how to break the ghost tribe's trick. The strength of a warrior is determined by many aspects, such as talent, laws, martial arts, and weapons. The talent of the ghost clan is indeed a bit mysterious, but the more extreme the talent, the greater the weakness. A true warrior relies on his own strength, not on unorthodox methods, Lin Ling said again, making Yuan Shitzi and the others nod. Next, the elimination continued. Gradually there were only 60 people left. Many experts from various races had been eliminated, causing the spectating experts to suck in a breath of cold air. In their eyes, this was a very intense battle. But to top powerhouses, this was merely a warm-up. In the next round, it was finally Stone God's turn. His opponent was a powerhouse from the godly kingdom, Wu Sheng, who looked extremely ordinary. Currently there were only a few 10th-stage realm Wuxia left behind. Most of them were in the Martial Emperor realm. Old Ancestor Stone God, you can do it. Ah, the opponent is very weak. Stone God will definitely win. The three mysterious of the mortal realm cheered, causing the stone deity to laugh as well. Even though he usually transformed into a boulder and didn't care about the world, that was only relatively speaking. He remained indifferent towards the weak, but against the strong he still wanted to see who was superior. Now that the martial stage was the strongest martial stage in the world, how could he not be moved? Hee old man, you must win. Stone God, congratulations on entering the top 40. The 7 emperors, Fire Toad, and the other powerhouses of the mortal realm laughed. However, just as they finished their words, Lin Ling shook his head and said, Stone God, you'd better admit defeat. What? Everyone opened their mouths wide. Stone God wanted to admit defeat in the face of Wuxia, a 10th-stage realm powerhouse? Stone God was a 3rd-stage martial emperor. His realm was so much higher than his opponents. Could it be that Wuxia, a 10th-stage realm junior, had 50,000 laws? If that was the case, it was simply too terrifying. I don't know why, but my intuition tells me that you can't continue to be entangled with him. If the situation is not right, immediately leave the martial stage. Lin Ling explained. His soul power sensed that Stone God had a strange power, as if he was an opponent who relied on treasures to become stronger. Stone God would definitely treat other people's words as nonsense, but he believed in Lin Ling's words. Then Stone God jumped onto the martial stage, but his opponent was still calm, looking like a loser. However, after the fight, his opponent took out a guqin and gently played it. Waves of green laws shot out, and those laws had reached 30,000. Moreover, the laws were increasing, close to 50,000. Obviously, that person wanted to kill Stone God. Fortunately, Stone God was prepared. When he felt something was wrong, he jumped out of the giant stone martial stage. Instantly, that person was stunned. That feeling was as if he had prepared his strongest punch, but it was as if he had punched cotton. Stone God's reaction is so fast. He almost died. He's so lucky. Could it be that he knew his opponent's trump card beforehand? On the side of the human race, everyone was surprised. Stone God was extremely depressed, but thinking that he had survived, he still smiled. Admirable, that martial artist from the godly kingdom has such a mysterious weapon, and Stone God actually guessed it. Admirable. Those human realm giants all said. Stone God smiled but did not explain anything. He knew that it was Lin Ling who had reminded him. On the martial stage, the god race expert was so angry that his body was trembling. This was because his mysterious zither could only be used once. But now he had wasted one. Most importantly, that old man's nose was very sharp. He didn't say anything and immediately retreated. It was as if he was playing with him. Lin Ling's eyes were solemn. The battle between the 4 races was more powerful than he had imagined. Then, the battle of the Son of Famine appeared on the martial stage. Tianzong martial god appeared, and without a doubt, he easily defeated his opponent. However, Lin Ling and the others could see that his strength was also very terrifying. Although he did not use his full strength, I feel that he is stronger than us. The spirit race crown prince frowned. Even stronger is yet to come. Heavenly God Jianghu has made his move. Lin Ling shook his head. Heavenly God Jianghu's opponent was one of the 6 young demon kings of the demon race, Jianghu. Both of them were top geniuses of their respective races, and their strength was definitely stronger than the human realm giants. The 100-year mountain was instantly stirred up like boiling water. This was the first time that the top geniuses of the 2 races clashed. Even the Son of Famine, the ghost race's ghost emperor, and the other strongest experts were looking forward to the battle. On the martial stage, Jianghu was the first to appear. He was wearing a black robe, his face was covered with a mask, and there was a horn on his head, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. Jianghu of the demon race is also one of the commanders of the demon race's army. He is a 1st-level martial emperor, but his strength is so strong that he can kill a 3rd-level martial emperor. So powerful? Then who can defeat him? Just watch, this battle will be very exciting. The experts of various races discussed spiritedly. Hearing those words, Lin Ling and Yu shook their heads. With their strength, they could also kill a 3rd-level martial emperor, so there was nothing to be proud of. Chapter 2069. 10 Divine Fires of Heaven and Earth. Take the expert from the godly kingdom as an example. He was Wuxia, who was in the 10th degree realm, but he could still kill a 3rd-degree martial emperor. This Jianghu is ranked 4th among the devil race's little devil kings. His entire body is filled with poison. The spirit race's crown prince said from the side. Are you familiar with the experts of the demon race? Lin Ling was a little surprised. We've fought once before, but that was before we went to the nation of God. Before that, we were on the same level. Now that we're there, I don't know what kind of adventures he had. The spiritual crown prince said. However, the pink crown prince is even more powerful. It is said that he has obtained the inheritance of the devil nation's crystal master. Lin Ling nodded. The pink crown prince was also a formidable opponent that he did not dare to underestimate. Compared to the third crown prince, the second crown prince was much stronger. It could be said that apart from Huang's son, he wasn't familiar with the most powerful geniuses of the ghost race, god race and demon race. Thus, he needed to watch the battle and understand the enemy as well as himself. And this way it would be of great benefit to Lin Ling's next breakthrough. At the same time, a voice came from the nation of God. Heavenly God Nine Son, your opponent isn't weak. Don't lose or you'll lose face for the nation of God. He's not strong enough. Heavenly God Jianghu floated towards the martial arts platform. His long golden hair carried an arrogant aura as he landed on the martial arts platform. Tianwu. Tianwu stared at Heavenly God Nine Sons and said in a low voice. Golden Dance of the Nine Sons. Heavenly God Nine Sons added. Number one of the four great talents of the gods, I hope you don't have an undeserved reputation. That day, said Tai Chi again. You're only ranked fourth among the 6 young demon kings. You're still too weak in front of the number one of the god race. Heavenly God Nine Sons shook his head. His words were filled with disdain. Of all the opponents in his heart, only Pink Crown Prince could make him wary. The others were not even worth mentioning. That was before. Green light rippled out from Tianho's body. A pair of wings appeared behind him, and with a gentle flap, clouds filled the sky. Poison dust. At this moment he was like a poisonous moth. As the poisonous dust drifted down, the experts below the giant stone martial stage all turned pale. The weaker ones were directly corroded. This poison was the law of heaven and earth. It was extremely vicious. A single speck of poison dust was like a world of great laws. 60,000 nomological laws. Lin Ling's pupils flickered. Although Tianwu was not rank 3 Wu Sheng, the latter had clearly used other methods to raise his power of laws. Another 60,000 nomological laws, and it looks like Tianho hasn't used his full strength yet. It's even stronger than the 60,000 nomological laws that Lin Ling used before. The devil race is truly terrifying. Tianho is only ranked 4th. What about the Pink Crown Prince? If that's the case, Heavenly God Nine Sons will be in trouble. Without any suspense, the 100 Years Mountain was also in an uproar. Everyone was shocked. Lin Ling looked around and found that Yu and Inyuera were calm, but the Crown Prince of the Spirit Tribe was frowning, as if he was afraid of Tianho. On the other hand, Yuan Shizi's eyes were burning, as if he had the confidence to fight Tianho. Looks like primeval beginning strength was not weaker than Tianho's. However, thinking about it, Yuan Shizi was originally a rank 1 martial emperor, and he was also the son of desolation. His strength must have increased greatly during this period. Lin Ling, who do you think will win? Yuan Shizi suddenly asked. Lin Ling already had an answer in his heart, but he did not answer. Instead, he looked at the martial stage. At that moment, Heavenly God Nine Sons' golden hair was dancing in the wind. He stood there like the Son of God. He laughed and said, Not bad, 60,000 nomological laws. Unfortunately, it's still an ant to me. His words were extremely arrogant, but his aura was extremely ordinary. It could not be compared to Tianho's. Therefore many people were stunned by his words. Who do you think will win? Lin Ling laughed and asked Yuan Shizi. The answer was very clear. Yuan Shizi frowned. He knew that Lin Ling had said that Heavenly God Nine Sons would win. However, judging from the current situation, Heavenly God Nine Sons did not seem to have any advantage. 60,000 nomological laws are still an ant? This must be a joke. Heavenly God Nine Sons and Tianho are both geniuses of their respective races. He has no right to look down on them. An arrogant army is bound to be defeated. Just you wait. All kinds of voices floated around the 100-Year Mountain. Like Yuan Shizi, no one believed Heavenly God Nine Sons' words. In their opinion, Heavenly God Nine Sons and Tianho were evenly matched. I haven't heard of this term in a long time. Tianho seemed to be angry. However, Heavenly God Nine Sons' next words enraged him even more. Kneel down and kowtow 3 times. Then become an eternal slave of the celestial race. You may still have a chance to live. His words were even more arrogant. Even the demon race could not take it anymore. They roared in anger. The Pink Crown Prince said in a low voice, "Such arrogance. Be careful not to humiliate yourself." It's not arrogance if you have the strength. The celestial race was not to be outdone. The two races were clearly at each other's throats. The demon race is arrogant. They will never kneel. If you want me to kneel, then let's see if you have the strength to do so. Jianghu was even more furious. Poisonous dust filled the sky. The cries of demon moths could be heard. He had finally made his move. Demon moths flew out. On their wings were the faces of demons. However, they were extremely beautiful from afar. However, wherever the demon moths flew, there would be poisonous dust and laws. A total of 6 demon moths flew out and pounced on Heavenly God Nine Sons. 6 demon moths destroy the sky. 60,000 laws. Their talent is definitely not weak. An expert said solemnly. It's not just 6 demon moths. Look, there's another demon moth with 70,000 laws. The human race's demon Lin Ling will only be tortured if he encounters Jianghu. A proud voice came from the demon race. Under the poisonous fog, another huge demon moth flew out. Wherever it passed, it could probably poison any expert below the 4th level Martial Emperor realm. The giant stone martial platform gradually turned into a world of poison. The experts from various races also stared at the giant stone martial platform. They wanted to see the result and see which top genius would win. Heavenly God Nine Sons is stronger than I imagined. Lin Ling also stared at the sky. However, he was more focused on Heavenly God Nine Sons. He realized that Heavenly God Nine Sons was indifferent to Jianghu's terrifying laws. Could even be said that he was indifferent. How confident was he? Next, it's time for him to make his move. Lin Ling thought to himself. He could guess that Heavenly God Nine Sons had benefited greatly in the 5th city of the Nation of God. Now, even if Lin Ling used the primordial divine crow, it would be difficult to suppress him. When the 7 demon moths approached, Heavenly God Nine Sons finally made his move. He stretched out his right hand. On his fingertip, a wisp of golden flame danced. Once this flame appeared, all the flames in the world trembled. One of the 10 great divine flames of heaven and earth. Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. He could feel the flames of yellow springs in his body erupting with a frenzied battle intent. Then he saw Heavenly God Nine Sons casually sprinkle that wisp of firefly-like flame. At this moment, a single spark could start a prairie fire. After the flame floated out, the entire martial platform instantly exploded. Terrifying shockwaves swept out in all directions. The poisonous fog crackled as it was burned. Chapter 2070. Battle of the 4 Ghost Emperors. After that, Heavenly God Nine Sons turned around and left. He didn't even bother to say another word. Seeing that, the entire 100-year mountain became silent. That was because everyone saw that Jianghu was still standing on the martial stage, and those 7 terrifying devil moths were still flying. However, Heavenly God Nine Sons had left. What exactly was he planning to do? What the hell is going on? Did Heavenly God Nine Sons admit defeat? I don't think so. Look, the Heavenly Ho isn't moving. The crowd began to discuss animatedly. Even the big shots of the mortal realm could not understand what was going on. Lin Ling, what's the result? Xianxia did not understand what had happened, so he subconsciously asked Lin Ling, Heavenly God Nine Sons won. Jianghu is dead. Lin Ling's face was extremely solemn. Hearing this, Xianxia's face changed dramatically. The 7 devil moths were still floating in the sky, and it was the same for Jianghu. However, when a gust of wind blew over, they were actually torn apart like paper. Moreover, the most terrifying thing was that not a single drop of blood or flesh sprayed out. It was as if Heavenly Skeleton was made of paper. Not only were the spectators surprised by this scene, even the demons were surprised. Heavenly God Nine Sons was actually this powerful? That fire could kill without leaving a trace. It was simply impossible to guard against it. How could this be? I don't even understand how Heavenly God Nine Sons won. Primeval Beginning said with a pale face. The Nine Sons Heavenly God also unleashed 70,000 nomological laws. However, his innate talent is even more terrifying. He is one of the 10 great divine flames of the world. Therefore, he was able to kill Jianghu without anyone noticing. In fact, he had already made his move after the Nine Sons Heavenly God landed on the martial platform. It's just that Jianghu and everyone else didn't notice. Lin Ling shook his head. Looks like he's also an unfathomable monster like you. Hearing this, Xianxia softly sighed. He was losing confidence. Through Lin Ling's explanation, Primeval beginning roughly understood the course of the battle. However, the others did not understand. All sorts of rumors began to spread. Some even said that Tianhu had secretly allowed Heavenly God Nine Sons to win. Some even said that Tianhu was actually a member of the god race. The rumors from the audience made Lin Ling speechless. Of course, he still had his eyes on Heavenly God Nine Sons. It seemed like the world was fair. He, Lin Ling, had obtained Li Xiaoyao's legacy, and Heavenly God Nine Sons was not weak either. The competition between the four clans was getting more and more interesting, and more difficult. The subsequent eliminations were rather ordinary, until Prince of Heaven Carefree stepped onto the stage. When he stepped onto the stage, he stared at Lin Ling with a strong provocation in his eyes. It was about time for the fated grudge between him and Lin Ling to come to an end. Without any suspense, he easily defeated his opponent. You're next. Prince Xiaoyao sneered as he left the giant rock martial platform. Lin Ling also smiled and was too lazy to refute. Although he knew that Prince Xiaoyao was hiding his strength, it was nothing to him. After waiting for a while, it was finally his turn to fight. Seeing Lin Ling leap onto the giant rock martial platform, the entire 100-year mountain fell silent. Lin Ling's strength had been recognized, but whether he could win against the top geniuses of the various clans, no one knew. I hope it's not a weak opponent. Many experts muttered secretly. There was no point in challenging Lin Ling if the opponent was too weak. Ghost Emperor Ox. When the voice floated out, the world fell silent. Ghost Emperor Ox, one of the 4 great ghost emperors, and also one of the 4 great ghost geniuses of the Ghost Clan. It was unknown whether Lin Ling's luck was too bad or for some other reason, but his opponent was clearly not weak. And this was also the second clash between the various clans' geniuses after Heavenly God Nine Sons. For a moment, the entire 100-year mountain was filled with cheers, hoping to see the most exciting battle between the human clan and the ghost clan. On the ghost clan's side, a child looked up at the sky with surprise in his eyes. Clearly, he did not expect to meet an expert so soon. However, he quickly smiled and walked towards the giant rock martial platform. As he walked, a terrifying thing happened. He gradually grew taller like a giant ghost ox, and his horns emitted a terrifying ghost chi. This was the Ghost Ox clan. What a strong power of law. It looks like he's also a rank 1 martial emperor, but his power of law is at least 50,000. Lin Ling exploded with 60,000 power of law just now. He seems to be stronger than the Ghost Ox clan. How do you know if the Ghost Emperor Ox is hiding his strength? The crowd discussed animatedly, and even the various clans' geniuses looked over. Boom. When Ghost Emperor Ox arrived at the gigantic stone martial platform, the gigantic stone martial platform shuddered violently. Looking over, the area was filled with ghostly fog. Faintly, one could see the silhouette of a gigantic ghost ox. Its blood-red eyes gave off a suffocating feeling in the darkness. Do you want to fight to the death? Lin Ling glanced at it quietly and spat out a word. So what if I do? So what if I don't? From the ghost fog, a heart-wrenching voice sounded. I've said it before. Those who want to kill me must die. What was surprising was that Lin Ling was actually so confident in facing the Ghost Emperor Ox, a genius from the Ghost Tribe. His words were undoubtedly shocking. Even the Ghost Emperor Ox was slightly surprised. He did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. After all, he was a genius from the Ghost Tribe. Although you are the #1 genius of the mortal world and can fight against 2 giants of the mortal world, your strength may not be able to kill me. I can only say that you are not to be underestimated. However, since you've said so, I must kill you. The Ghost Emperor Ox took a step forward, causing the entire giant rock martial platform to be filled with ghost chi. Countless strange ghost beasts roamed freely. He obviously could not back down from this battle. Therefore, if Lin Ling did not die, he would die. Since that's the case, let's begin. Lin Ling's expression was extremely calm from the beginning. He did not intend to waste any time and directly attacked. Generally speaking, only those who were confident would make the first move. If the opponent was evenly matched, they would maintain their strength at the beginning and treat the opponent cautiously. Because if they attacked too quickly, it would be easy for the opponent to grasp their weakness. But Lin Ling had already drawn his sword. He actually attacked first. Seeing this, everyone's eyes narrowed. Could it be that Lin Ling was going to explode with laws that surpassed 60,000? Great creation. The sword slashed out, causing the space to howl and shatter. The sharpness was extremely terrifying. Ghost Ox's extreme hell. Within the vast ghost chi, a ghost ox appeared. Its pair of horns seemed to be able to cut through the world. It actually collided with Lin Ling's sword. From afar, this scene was extremely shocking. There was a giant ghost ox and the weak Lin Ling was facing Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was like an ant slaying a ghost. Great destruction. Lin Ling slashed out again, activating an even stronger law of space. Boom. The huge body of the ghost ox finally retreated, and one of its horns was cut off. What a sharp sword. In the sword Dao, killing intent and sharpness are the strongest. I didn't expect the space element to be so strong. Many experts narrowed their eyes, and their evaluation of Lin Ling rose again. In fact, today's Lin Ling gave them a strong shock. Chapter 2071. You battle. And now, with a single slash, Lin Ling had announced that he was no weaker than the top geniuses of the various races. He had once again stepped into the circle of geniuses. As for Ghost Emperor Ox, his heart was pounding. In truth, when he went up, he was already paying attention to this battle. In addition to Lin Ling's previous words, he was not confident in himself. He was wondering if Lin Ling was really so strong. And now Lin Ling's slash had once again shattered his confidence. Because those swords were too sharp. He seemed to be unable to block them. Don't be affected. At this time, a voice floated out in his mind. It was a ghostly head. That voice shook his spirit. Ghost Emperor Ox's aura soared into the sky. He was also one of the 4 great ghost emperors. Although he was the weakest, how could he lose to Lin Ling so easily? Arrogant soldiers are bound to be defeated. Ghost Emperor Ox roared. Something terrifying happened. On the martial arts platform, ghost emperors appeared in 8 directions. The martial arts platform was drowned in nomological laws. I am a genius of the ghost race. The more I fight, the stronger I become. But you are too confident. Be careful not to fail miserably. Ghost Emperor Ox's aura grew stronger. However, Lin Ling's expression was still calm. It was not that he was arrogant, but he knew that the gap between him and Ghost Emperor Ox was not small. Lin Ling, I will also erupt with 60,000 nomological laws. Let's see how you block it. A giant bull charged towards Lin Ling. Looking carefully, there were many small ghosts crawling on the giant bull. It was extremely terrifying. Sword. Lin Ling slashed out with his sword. The giant bull was instantly split into 2. That terrifying giant bull was formed from 60,000 nomological laws. Lin Ling's slash was also 60,000 nomological laws. But the one who lost was the giant bull. From this, it could be seen that Lin Ling's sword was very powerful. Of course, swordsmen had powerful attacks. Under the same level of power, swordsmen usually won more. But what was shocking was that after Lin Ling slashed out with his sword, he slashed out again. And this time he slashed towards the left. But there wasn't anything there. Was Lin Ling stupid? Even the 7 emperors couldn't see through Lin Ling's actions. But what happened next proved everything. On the left, a giant ox demon suddenly appeared. It came without any warning, but unfortunately, it was cut in half by Lin Ling's sword. It was hard to imagine that if Lin Ling hadn't swung his sword earlier, he would have been in trouble. How could this be? On the Ghost Clan's side, the experts were all shocked. It was the same for Ghost Emperor Ox. This was because this was his innate ability. The law allowed him to appear and disappear unpredictably, allowing him to kill a 4th-level Martial Emperor realm expert. However, he had failed when he encountered Lin Ling. It was as if Lin Ling knew everything about him. I've come into contact with your tribe before, so I'm very familiar with it. Lin Ling calmly spoke, answering the question in the Ghost Emperor Ox's heart. Naturally, the battle experience he had was from Li Xiaoyao's memories. Impossible, this is my killing move. Ghost Emperor Ox cried out in fear. He thought that Lin Ling was joking, but in his eyes, Lin Ling's face was calm and composed. He couldn't see through him really. You shouldn't have agreed to a battle to the death with me. Lin Ling shook his head. He slightly increased his law energy to 62,000 and then stabbed out with his sword. The extra 2,000 law energy didn't seem like much, but in reality, when experts clashed, even 1 extra law energy could determine the outcome of the battle. Therefore, although the sword looked ordinary, it was extremely dazzling. Lin Ling held the ancient sword in his hand. His figure was elegant and free. His blue robe was like a cloud floating in the sky. Ghost Emperor Ox's eyes trembled violently. He felt that the sword was terrifying. It had the characteristics of space. It seemed distant and slow, but it appeared in front of him in an instant. Moreover, he had a feeling that he couldn't avoid it. Swordsmen didn't swing their swords casually. Every sword was shocking and contained the law of heaven and earth. Bang! It wasn't until Lin Ling withdrew his sword that the crowd below the martial stage reacted. When they looked at Lin Ling again, he had already left step by step. What happened? Who won? Lin Ling has already left the martial stage. He seems to have won, but it's too easy. That's impossible. How could one of the 4 great geniuses of the ghost race be defeated so easily by Lin Ling? The voices were like the waves of the sea, carrying the shock of the crowd as they drifted out from all directions. Even the various geniuses narrowed their eyes. This Lin Ling was more powerful than they had imagined. Bang! Almost at the same time, on the giant stone martial stage, the tall ghost ox giant collapsed. On the surface, he didn't have any injuries, but on closer inspection, one could see that there was a sword wound between his eyebrows. A fatal sword wound. This also meant that Lin Ling had won. This wasn't a dream. Lin Ling had indeed won. A genius of the ghost race had been defeated by him just like that. Not simple. On the side of the crowd, many human realm giants said solemnly. They sensed that Lin Ling seemed to be qualified to compete for the top 5 in the 4-race competition. And this result was very shocking. Because from the beginning, no one was optimistic about Lin Ling's chances. Is it his full strength? It's very likely that it's his full strength, but not necessarily, because he still hasn't used the Flame of Yellow Springs. Looks like he's also a strong opponent, just like the top geniuses of the other races. The various geniuses' expressions became serious. Tianzong martial god, Prince Xiaoyao and the others sneered. Although Lin Ling wasn't weak, they were still very confident at the moment. After Lin Ling left, Pink Crown Prince also went up. Unfortunately, his opponent was too weak, so no one could see through his full strength. However, everyone guessed that this person must be extremely difficult to deal with. Next, more and more people were eliminated. Then it was Yuyu's turn. Without a doubt, after she landed on the martial stage, a large number of cheers came from all around. Yuyu was as agile as a lotus, and her strength wasn't weak, so she naturally became the focus of attention. Her opponent was a demon. Although he wasn't a genius, he was still young and his strength wasn't weak either. After going up on the stage, the demon licked his lips and said, "Beauty, from now on, follow this king and be this king's 99th wife. This king won't touch you today." Haha. As soon as he finished speaking, the demon's side laughed loudly. "You're courting death." On the human side, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother's face was cold. Yuyu was her daughter. Although she married that damned Lin Ling, she wasn't someone those filthy demons could insult. However, what surprised people was that Yuyu's beautiful face didn't change and she stood there elegantly. But in the next moment she moved. Her body floated out like a willow catkin, and her lily-white hand turned into a palm strike. Her entire movement was extremely beautiful, like a fairy. Very beautiful, very beautiful. I heard that you're Lin Ling's woman. Unfortunately, how can Lin Ling be worthy of you? Only this king is worthy of you. The demon stared at Yuyu. He was actually attracted by Yuyu's figure and didn't make a move. This meant that he was extremely confident in himself. Hehe, if you want to get this beautiful human girl, you have to defeat Lin Ling. Jeers came from the demon's side. Chapter 2072. Round 4. He wanted to let Yuyu know how outstanding he was. Compared to him, Lin Ling wasn't even fit to carry his shoes. Seeing this, many voices of exhortation floated over, telling the demon not to ruthlessly destroy the flower. Unfortunately, before they could finish their sentence, Yuyu's palm came flying toward them. Boom. The devil's body exploded and a 5-colored light bloomed, absorbing all the devil energy. Then Yuyu learned from Lin Ling and coldly left the martial stage. Everyone was silent. "You, are you that powerful?" That seemingly ordinary palm strike had actually easily killed a demon. One had to know that for a demon to appear on the martial stage, there was no need to doubt his strength. Even the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother sucked in a breath of cold air. She could feel that Yuyu's strength wasn't much weaker than hers. Ever since Yuyu followed Lin Ling, what did they do? Why was her strength so strong that it exceeded her imagination? Only Lin Ling was not surprised, because Yuyu's talent was too strong. If she could not win, then her cultivation would have been in vain. "Brother Ling, I won." After returning to Lin Ling's side, Yuyu immediately said sweetly. Lin Ling shook his head. "We should have ended it from the start. Why listen to that guy's nonsense?" "Oh, I know." Yuyu nodded obediently. Seeing this, not only the demon race but also the human race and ghost race youths were extremely jealous. They couldn't understand why Yuyu, who was cold to others, was so nice to Lin Ling. "If I had such a wife, I would have no regrets in my life." A human youth sighed. With Yuyu by his side, her strength was great and she could protect him. Moreover, she was also beautiful. How could he have any regrets in his life? Of course, this was just wishful thinking. After all, if he wanted to get Yuyu, he had to get past Lin Ling. Moreover, if they knew that Yu Yu was so strong because of Lin Ling, they wouldn't think that Lin Ling wasn't worthy of Yu Yu. Of course, if they were to say that Yu Yu made them jealous, what happened next made their jealousy skyrocket. This was because Immortal had also stepped onto the stage. Moreover, she had listened to Lin Ling's words and made a clean move. Frost spread out and the huge stone stage turned into an ice sculpture. What was frightening was that within the wind and snow law, there was actually a fatal soul force. In just a breath of time, that opponent died instantly, killed in one move. This caused the entire 100-year mountain to be in an uproar again. Dark horse and absolute dark horse. Furthermore, she was a beautiful dark horse. No one would have thought that Yu Yu and Immortal would be so powerful. Their dazzling performance seemed to be even more intense than Lin Ling's, because both of them defeated their opponents in one move. However, the abominable thing was that both of these dark horses were Lin Ling's women. Lin Ling, I'll kill you sooner or later! Exclamation point. Qianzong martial god had long liked Yu Yu and the others, so his face was dark with anger. Such women will belong to me, fallen mortal, sooner or later. Fallen mortal said jealously, but his words were filled with confidence. Of course the others ignored him. No one believed that fallen mortal was Li Xiaoyao anymore, except for fallen mortal himself. Next, the number of people decreased. Yuanshi Zi, the spiritual tribe crown prince, and the others also stepped up and easily won the battle. Lin Ling wasn't surprised by this. His gaze was still on the huge stone stage. He realized that the four tribes had more top experts than he had imagined. Many of them weren't strong, but they had powerful immortal weapons in their hands, which allowed them to step onto the most dazzling stage in the world. Moreover, Lin Ling was shocked to discover that some of them had 4-star immortal weapons. However, they hadn't revealed their strength yet, so others didn't know. There are so many hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Apart from the geniuses of the various tribes, the other experts can't be underestimated. The next 40 battles will be even more exciting. Lin Ling couldn't help but feel a little excited. At the same time, with the end of the third round, the experts of the four tribes were also excited because the following battles would be even more sensational. This was also a battle of honor, a battle of the pride of the tribes. Gradually, the fourth round began. Everyone looked at the sky, quietly waiting for the final result of the ancient giants. Although it seemed that the ancient giants of the various tribes could come together to discuss the rules of the four-tribe tournament, in reality, they were still opponents. However, regardless of whether it was the demon tribe, the ghost tribe, or the deity tribe, they wanted to dominate the world, but they didn't want to kill too much. Because killing 1,000 enemies was equivalent to harming 800 of their own. Therefore, they put in so much effort for the four-tribe tournament, all for the battle of creation in 3 years. The remaining experts will be indomitable in the future. Their strength and potential are extremely terrifying. Therefore, the ancient giants have unanimously decided that the fourth round will be a point competition. Each person will fight 20 battles, and the 20 people with the most points will remain. A solemn voice drifted out. This concerned the future of the entire world, so the following battles became more and more formal. In the point competition, they could avoid the situation of being eliminated due to a moment of poor performance. For example, if you lost one battle but won the next 19 battles as long as your opponents won less than you would have a chance to enter the top 20. The point competition is also a test of endurance. I must win 20 battles. The remaining people can't be underestimated. Every one of them is an existence that surpasses the giants of the mortal realm. I must consolidate at every step. I must win. The remaining 40 people were burning with the flames of battle. The more critical the moment, the more excited they were. Moreover, each person has 10 chances to choose an opponent. As for the remaining 10 battles, the opponents will be chosen randomly. Moreover, opponents who have fought before cannot fight again. The voice came from the sky again. Among the 40 people there were strong and weak. If one was unlucky and met the strongest opponent in 10 consecutive battles such as Pink Crown Prince, Qianzong Martial God, Jianghu God, and the others, then it would be difficult to escape the situation of being eliminated. Therefore, the ancient giants gave them the chance to choose their opponents. In this way they could choose opponents who were weaker than them. In this way the chances of passing the round would be greater. The experts of the various tribes nodded. This was very fair. Next, the experts who were about to participate in the competition took a short break. Each person has 10 chances to choose an opponent, so there are 40 people in total. However, each person only has to fight 20 battles, so they will definitely choose the weaker opponents. However, other than those who are famous, it is difficult to determine the strength of the others. On Lin Ling's side, Yuanshi Zi frowned and said. Suddenly he looked at Lin Ling. The Spirit Tribe Crown Prince was the same. Previously they had seen that because of Lin Ling, the stone god had escaped a calamity. Lin Ling seemed to be able to estimate the strength of his opponents. "Why are you all looking at me like that?" Lin Ling blinked. The two people's gazes made him feel very uncomfortable. If Yu and the others were staring at him like that, Lin Ling did not mind. However, two big men staring at him like that made his skin crawl. Lin Ling, when you choose your opponents later, you must remind us. Yes, although we are not weak, it is always good to be careful. Xianxia and the others rubbed their palms and said. Lin Ling nodded gloomily. Brother Ling, we also need you to remind us. Yu said with a smile. Chapter 2073. Fallen Mortal's Chosen Opponent. It's better to be simple. That's right. It's very tiring to always challenge opponents that are too strong. And Yuer and Yu both smiled. Their smiles were extremely beautiful. You guys are just lazy. Lin Ling shrugged helplessly. It seemed that his missions had increased. But what if he had to choose his opponent? He immediately looked into the distance. It was time to end the grudges between some of his enemies. Prince Xiaoyao had tried to kill Lin Ling many times. Therefore, Prince Xiaoyao was one of the 10 choices that Lin Ling had. At the same time, Prince Xiaoyao also stared at Lin Ling, and the sneer on his face became even thicker. After a short rest, the battle immediately began. The entire 100 Years Mountain was like boiling water. The cheers were so loud that it seemed like the sky was about to be torn open. Looking around, the 100 Years Mountain was already filled with people. People from all the major clans had arrived and were watching from afar. They were supporting the pride of their own clans. For example, in the human race, the ones who received the most attention were Heaven-blessed Martial Prowess, Prince of Freedom, Lin Ling, and Fallen Mortal. These four people's reputations among Huang's children were too great. Lin Ling. Come on, Heaven-blessed martial artist. Everyone was supporting their idols. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly when he heard the cheers. Although he was already used to this kind of scene, today's scene was even more sensational because it was supported by more than 1 billion people. The scene was beyond imagination. And on the boulder martial platform, the first person to fight appeared. It was actually Fallen Mortal. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. All this time, Fallen Mortal was like a clown to him. He didn't know how much that guy had benefited from his adventures in the Nation of God. For the first battle, Fallen Mortal would choose his own opponent. Fallen Mortal, you will definitely win. We will always support you. The humans were all excited, but Fallen Dust was enjoying this kind of treatment. His expression was calm, and his hands were behind his back as he swept his gaze across the 39 opponents. As for those who were targeted by his gaze, some of the weaker ones frowned. But fortunately, Fallen Dust looked towards Lin Ling in the end. No way, could it be that he wants to fight Lin Ling? Or did he want to fight Xianxia and make the first battle so intense? The experts of the various races were filled with anticipation. However, to their surprise, Fallen Dust didn't choose Lin Ling, Primeval Lord, and the others. Instead, he proudly spat out a name. And Yuer. Boom. The entire 100 Years Mountain was struck by lightning. No one would have thought that Fallen Mortal would choose a beautiful dark horse. I really like your cold temperament. I yearn for icy beauties the most because the colder they are, the more I want to conquer them. I'll only ask you one thing. If you lose, then leave Lin Ling and follow me. How about that? Fallen Mortal's long hair fluttered as he looked at Yuer in a carefree manner. How domineering. As expected of Li Xiaoyao's reincarnation, he actually dares to steal Lin Ling's woman. This battle is going to be interesting. If Yuer loses, she will have to leave Lin Ling. And Yuer certainly won't dare to accept the challenge. Many people stared at Lin Ling, wanting to see how Lin Ling would react. However, Lin Ling didn't have any reaction. He sat cross-legged and cultivated. Moreover, he was chatting with Xianxia and the others. This guy. Everyone was in disbelief. Lin Ling's woman was about to be stolen, but he didn't have any reaction? Coward. Someone mocked and scolded. It was an expert from the demon race. Then the scolding became even more. Because if Lin Ling was a man, then he would definitely stand up and protect his woman, and not pretend not to see it. Unfortunately, Lin Ling directly ignored those scolding. How about it? Fallen Mortal also felt that Lin Ling was too cowardly. He was definitely afraid of him, so he became even more arrogant. Okay. And Yuer stood up. She still looked like an icy beauty. Are you sure? You should know that if you lose, you'll have to leave Lin Ling. Forget it, I'll ask Lin Ling, do you agree? Fallen Mortal shouted at Lin Ling, do as you wish. What made Fallen Mortal even more surprised was that Lin Ling was actually indifferent. Could it be that he didn't even want his own woman? Stop talking nonsense. If you want to fight, then let's fight. And Yuera's white clothes were whiter than snow. She lightly floated towards the huge stone martial stage. Once she landed on the martial stage, the law of frost filled the air, as if she controlled all the ice and snow in the world. She was the ice goddess. So beautiful. What's the use of being beautiful? From now on, she's a woman who has fallen into the mortal world. Lin Ling is really useless. He actually didn't come out to support his own woman. Many people looked at the huge stone martial stage with admiration. Fallen Mortal was also astonished by Yuer's beauty. Her lithe figure, her beautiful facial features, all of this was too alluring. Lin Ling, I don't cherish you and won't protect you. From now on, I'll protect you. Fallen Mortal gently said, I'll let you have 3 moves. This way you'll know the difference between Lin Ling and me. And I'm the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. When he said this, he lifted his chin, and an imposing aura like that of a mountain and a flowing river fluttered out. Unfortunately, Yuer didn't know how to appreciate it and didn't say much, so she instantly attacked. I'm the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. In this world, there's no martial art that I don't know, no law that I can't break, because I've seen too much. Fallen Mortal said indifferently when he saw Yuer attack. More than 10 different colored laws floated out from his body, turning into ribbons that extended dozens of meters away. From afar it was extremely dazzling. Moreover, he instantly exploded with 50,000 law power, causing the martial stage to shake. As expected of the Desolation's son, Fallen Mortal. Li Xiaoyao's reincarnation? Those laws are the Feather Saint's illumination laws. He knows the heaven and earth, north and south, and can see the flaws of any law martial art. According to this, he really does look like the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. No one wasn't surprised by Fallen Mortal's strength. Moreover, they guessed that Lin Ling's woman was about to change owners. Unfortunately, they were thinking too much. Although Fallen Mortal's talent wasn't weak and he could see through many law martial arts, sometimes, seeing through didn't mean that he could break it. For example, Yuer's Xian body. The difference between a Xian body and an immortal body was obvious. Yuer's small white hand pointed out like a flying immortal. At the tip of her lily-white hand, a profound entrance bloomed and frost energy filled the air. It was extremely beautiful. And wherever she passed, Fallen Mortal's law ribbons were like tofu, and they all moved aside. As for Fallen Mortal, his expression changed greatly. He could see through Yuer's law, so he vaguely guessed that it was 70,000 laws. The most important thing was that her talent didn't seem to be a god-level celestial body. Could it be the legendary Xian body? Boom. A finger came from the horizon and shot Fallen Mortal's chest, making his entire body feel like it was deflating. Most importantly, his soul suffered a terrifying attack and his mind went blank. Blah. He fell on his back, defeated in one move. With his current strength facing Yuer, he was indeed like a jumping clown. Silence. The entire 100-year mountain was dead silent. What's going on? The Desolation's son, Fallen Mortal, was the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao, but he was defeated in one move. This must be a dream. Everyone watched as Yuer left the martial stage step by step. Finally, they confirmed that this wasn't a dream. Chapter 2074. The strongest winning streak. Fallen Mortal was very confident, so he chose Yuer for the first battle. His goal was to win the beauty's heart, but in the end he was ruthlessly slapped by the beauty. Moreover, he lost very shamefully and was directly knocked unconscious. I didn't kill you because I hope you can fight with my husband and then know how lowly you are. Moreover, you want to protect me? After Yuer left the martial stage, she coldly left behind a sentence that made many people come to a realization. Could it be that Fallen Mortal wasn't Lin Ling's opponent? Everyone looked at Lin Ling again and suddenly found that Lin Ling was still chatting. From beginning to end, he didn't even look at the martial stage. This meant that Lin Ling already knew that Yuer would win. No wonder he wasn't angry before, because in the face of a clown's provocation Lin Ling really didn't need to fight back. And also because Yuer alone could easily defeat Fallen Mortal. Haha. After thinking this through, the mockery from the 100-year mountain increased. At this moment, Fallen Mortal woke up in a daze. After he reacted, he was so angry that his face turned black. He had lost the first battle and he had lost to a woman. Moreover, he had been so proud before, but he had lost in such a humiliating manner. From now on, what dignity would he have left? Thinking this, he was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood that was 100 meters long. In the end, he angrily left the martial stage. Many elites shook their heads. After this battle, it was proven that Luo Mundane was no longer a threat. Perhaps he was only a clown. Li Xiaoyao's reincarnation? If Li Xiaoyao knew that you were so useless, he would definitely come back from hell and ruthlessly slap you 300 times. Someone roared angrily. It was from the human race because they had supported and worshipped fallen mortal before. Who would have thought that he was so disappointing? The two beauties beside Lin Ling are stronger than expected. I'm afraid they've already stepped into the level of the desolates. Lin Ling, you're so lucky. After that, the crowd looked at Lin Ling. Although some people were jealous, more people felt that Lin Ling was qualified. Because Lin Ling was too calm. This meant that Lin Ling's strength might be stronger than he had imagined. I refuse to accept this. Lin Ling, sooner or later, I'll fight you and make you suffer a crushing defeat. Fallen Mortal said coldly from afar. However, whether it was luck or intentional, the next round was Xianxia's turn, and he naturally chose his own opponent. Moreover, he stared at Lin Ling, wanting to see what opinion Lin Ling would give. Then let's go to the mortal world. He's injured, so you can defeat him in 3 moves. Of course, even if he's not injured, he's still inferior to you. Lin Ling said. Alright, let's beat him while he's down. Xianxia leaped onto the stage and declared war against Luo Chen. Fallen Mortal was so angry that his body was trembling. He was the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. Why was everyone bullying him? Did they think he was a pushover? He angrily climbed onto the giant stone stage, and from the start he exploded with all his strength, wanting to prove himself. This undoubtedly made many strong people shake their heads. The point competition tested one's endurance. Fallen Mortal fought consecutively, so he shouldn't have immediately exploded with all his strength. Instead, he chose to fight while recovering. As expected, after Xianxia exploded with the power of laws, he easily defeated Fallen Mortal in 5 moves. After all, Xianxia was also a son of desolation, so his strength was naturally not weak. 2 consecutive defeats and he was seriously injured. Without a doubt, Fallen Mortal had already lost his qualifications. Because the next contestants weren't fools. If they could easily win a match, why would they challenge the strong? Therefore they all took the initiative to challenge Fallen Mortal. Reality was indeed so. The strong people who came out one after another all challenged Fallen Mortal. After 20 matches, he lost the qualifications to compete. One of the human race's sons of desolation, eliminated. On the human side, the various big shots were extremely disappointed. However, although Fallen Mortal lost, 2 people rose to replace him. They are Yuer and Yuyu. Their talents seemed to be very strong. I don't know how they cultivated and how they rose so quickly. Perhaps Lin Ling's strength is inferior to theirs. Many people guessed, causing the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother to frown. And Yuer and Yuyu's talents were naturally clear to her, but after following Lin Ling, they soared. Could it be that all of this was caused by Lin Ling? I've been eliminated? Fallen Mortal couldn't believe everything before his eyes. Suddenly, he glared at Lin Ling with resentment, believing that all of this was caused by Lin Ling. I've been eliminated. You're next. Fallen Mortal said angrily. In his opinion, Lin Ling was very likely inferior to Fallen Mortal. Next, the cruel eliminations continued. The intense battles were shocking. Then the Spirit Tribe Crown Prince also went up. He chose his own opponent, and after winning 3 matches he finally chose to give up. First, his opponents weren't weak. To be able to win 3 matches in a row was already not bad. Second, he could continue to win another match, but others could challenge him when they came out. At that time, he wouldn't have recovered, and the situation would be troublesome. Amazing as expected of the Spirit Tribe's #1 genius, winning 3 matches in a row. That's right, the previous opponent from the Ghost Tribe wasn't weak either. His strength was enough to fight 2 human giants, but he still won. Tisk Tiske, I didn't expect the Spirit Tribe Crown Prince to be so strong. Such words floated out majestically, causing the Spirit Tribe Crown Prince to smile proudly. As for Fallen Mortal, who had already been eliminated, his expression was ugly. Another person was stronger than him? Pink Crown Prince. Next, another important powerhouse appeared. It was the demon race's #1 genius. The experts of the 4 races were all excited. Up until now, they still couldn't see through the Pink Crown Prince's strength. They hoped that this round would allow them to see his limits. The Pink Crown Prince's power of laws was unfathomable. After he went up, he randomly chose his opponents, erupting with 70,000 laws. After winning 5 matches in a row, he smiled faintly and left. Although he could win again, it was clear that he didn't want to reveal his trump card. However, such a result still caused a stir among the 4 races. 5 matches, this was the best result so far. Seeing the pink crown prince so arrogant, Heavenly God 9 sons from the nation of God didn't want to be outdone. After he went up, he said indifferently, "I won't choose my opponents. You guys can come up as you like." Cheers. Rich. This was the God race's rich. Come up as you like. One had to know that those who could make it to the 4th round weren't weak. In the 4 races, each of them were emperor-level existences. However, Heavenly God 9 sons was so arrogant in front of these top-tier emperors. From this, one could see his strength. I'll go. Cheers. As expected, there were experts from the demon race who weren't convinced. Defeat. Cheers. Heavenly God 9 sons defeated his opponent in one move, showing the difference between him and ordinary powerhouses. It also showed everyone what it meant to be the #1 genius of the God race. Let me see how strong your endurance is. I can't beat you, but I'll definitely exhaust you. Cheers. The next opponent was very cunning. He wanted to interrupt Heavenly God 9 sons' arrogant pace and chose to delay tactics. With just you? Go home and train for a few hundred years. Haha. Chapter 2075. Chapter 1955 Recorder. After that, no one dared to go up. This was because the strength of the expert who had been defeated by Heavenly God 9 sons was obvious to all. However, even he had been defeated. If anyone else went up, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. If no one wants to come up, then I'll choose my own opponent. Heavenly God 9 sons said in a carefree manner. He challenged one opponent after another, and in the end he won 6 consecutive battles, one more than Pink Crown Prince. Clearly he was doing this on purpose, insisting on suppressing the devils. Seeing this, the Pink Crown Prince of the Devil race was so angry that his face turned red. He said coldly, "I didn't use my full strength. Otherwise I would have won 10 matches in a row." Idiot, are you the only one who hasn't unleashed your full strength? However, Heavenly God 9 sons' next sentence left Pink Crown Prince speechless and completely dejected. Indeed, Heavenly God 9 sons had not unleashed his full strength. Just like Pink Crown Prince, he had only unleashed about 50% of his strength. However, Heavenly God 9 sons was clearly more skilled than Pink Crown Prince. 6 matches was undoubtedly the current record. Apart from the geniuses of the various clans, who would dare to challenge this record? Clearly they didn't. The other experts all chose carefully. How could they dare to fight continuously? However, there were still many opponents who dared to fight consecutively. For example, the other geniuses of the demon race, but none of them could win more than 5 rounds. Another example was evil god Immortal of the divine race. He had just won 5 rounds. Gradually, it was heaven-blessed martial artist's turn. In the 4th round, a gap has begun to appear in the strength of the participants. The only ones who can continue to shine are the geniuses of the various clans. It seems like it has become a battle between the geniuses of various races. The strongest genius of the human race has appeared. He must be better than the other races. On the side of the human race, cheers rang out one after another. They were filled with anticipation. After landing on the martial arts platform, heaven-blessed martial warrior didn't look at the other opponents at all. Instead, he looked at the top geniuses of various races. "I will represent the human race and create the first in the history of the 4 races. All of you are trash." Even crazier. His first sentence was a declaration. He wanted to create the first record. It's just the power of your tongue. Be careful not to fail miserably. Then you can try winning 7 matches in a row. Moreover, even if you win, if you use your full strength and accidentally lose the next match, it won't be good. Among the human geniuses, you're the only one who can catch my eye. The others are all trash. However, that's all you have. The strongest geniuses of the various clans sneered. Begin. The heaven-blessed martial artist knew that words were useless. Only battle results could prove everything. And his strength was indeed very strong. He also burst forth with 70,000 power of laws and easily won 4 consecutive rounds. 70,000 laws of nature, this was a necessary condition for winning consecutively, and it was not the limit. This also meant that 70,000 power of law was not the full power of a heaven-blessed martial artist. Otherwise, there would be no meaning in him setting a record. Moreover, he would be laughed at by others. Heaven-blessed martial artist, heaven-blessed martial artist. Amazing. He's already won 6 rounds in a row. He's about to break the Protoss record. Good luck. On the human side, everyone's blood was boiling. The honor of their race made them extremely excited. However, heaven-blessed martial god was having a hard time in the 6th match. Unless he unleashed his full strength again, it would be very difficult for him to win. Moreover, his opponent was from the celestial race, so he had to stop heaven-blessed martial god even if it meant death. Against the Death Warrior, the heaven-blessed martial god found it difficult to take him down. Fortunately, he found a weak point in the other party and dealt a fatal blow, killing the other party. Good, he's won 6 rounds in a row. He's the same as heavenly god Jianghu of the celestial race. The human experts clenched their fists and couldn't help but cheer. This made the heaven-blessed martial god smile proudly. However, he was a little tired in the 7th match. Could it be that he had to burst forth with more strength? However, if he did that, others would laugh at him. It seemed that the first record could not be broken. The heaven-blessed martial god finally gave up the challenge. This made the humans sigh. Of course, they soon became proud again. Although they did not set a new record, they were at least tied with the celestial race for first place. The celestial race is only SOSO. What is there to be proud of? It's only been 6 matches. You think you're number 1 in the world and no one can surpass you. In the end, you've slapped your own face. Ah, awesome. The human experts were elated and laughed. This made the other 3 races look gloomy. They knew that the light had been stolen by the human race. In the following battles, most people wouldn't dare to choose to fight consecutively until another top-notch genius appeared. The son of desolation of the human race, son of desolation. Boom. The humans cheered again. This made Prince Xiaoyao smile confidently. He also wanted to break the record and enter the top 5 in one go. Amazing. I only won 3 matches in a row. They can win 5 or even 6 matches in a row. Beside Lin Ling, the crown prince of the spirit race was extremely surprised. This showed the gap between him and the top geniuses. You're lucky. After I defeated Xianxia, I did not dare to fight again. I chose to rest before fighting again. Xianxia smiled bitterly. He then stared at Prince Xiaoyao and said, I wonder how many matches this guy can win in a row. At most 5 matches. Because even if the experts of the various races die, they will still stop Prince Xiaoyao's pace. Lin Ling smiled. This was because he realized that as the competition continued, many of the 40 strongest giants of the various races had fallen. The great waves washed away the sand. The ones who remained were undoubtedly the true kings. 5 matches? Why do I feel that he will break the first record? Xianxia frowned. If he breaks the first record and wins 6 matches in a row, then it will be time for him to lose. Lin Ling said with certainty. On the giant stone martial arts platform, Prince Xiaoyao first stared at Lin Ling on the ground. In the end, he did not challenge Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling was not weak. Even if he won, he would be exhausted. Therefore, it was safer for him to choose a weaker opponent. With his strength, it was not difficult for him to win 3 matches in a row in the beginning. Gradually, he began to concentrate. He won 5 matches in a row. However, after the 5th match, he began to feel tired unless he used his trump card. However, it was the same as the unwritten rule. Once he used a stronger trump card, even if he won, he would suffer a great loss. Moreover, the others would laugh at him. I'm the number 1 genius of the human race. I can't be weaker than the heaven-blessed martial artist. I must win another match. In the end, Prince Xiaoyao chose a different path from the heaven-blessed martial artists. He wanted to be more brilliant and dazzling. The 6th match he fought again. Boom. The 4 races were in an uproar. It was as if a bomb had been dropped. The 100-year mountain was in an uproar. Was another record holder born? As for the top geniuses like the 9 Suns God and the heaven-blessed martial artists, their faces became serious. They hoped that Prince Xiaoyao would lose. However, the development of the situation was beyond their imagination. The heaven-blessed martial artist did not lose. Instead, his aura became stronger. He was like an undefeatable god of war. In the end, he won the 6th match. Amazing. Prince Xiaoyao is also so strong. Chapter 2076. Lin Ling enters the battle. However, Lin Ling shook his head and said, what a pity. In order to win the battle, he used up all his strength. Even if he didn't reach his limit, he won't be far from losing the next battle. He could see that Prince Xiaoyao had consumed too much energy. After this battle, even a slightly stronger first-level martial emperor might be able to defeat Prince Xiaoyao. This was the result of overestimating one's strength. Unfortunately, other than Lin Ling, no one else could see it. Only after Prince Xiaoyao left did the various races burst out in astonishment. 80,000 laws. This guy is really abnormal. Moreover, the opponent in the 6th battle seemed to have a powerful immortal weapon. He actually defeated him. As expected of Prince Xiaoyao. He has so many laws and is so talented. Who else can beat him? Those who worshipped him shouted excitedly. 2 recorders had appeared in the human race. They were obviously more powerful than the divine race. The experts of the divine race swallowed their anger and were incomparably furious. The lowly human race was actually so proud. Bastard. As for the devil race, they were even more sullen. Pink Crown Prince frowned. If he had known earlier, he would have unleashed a bit more of his strength and won 6 rounds in a row. It was better than having the arrogant human race shit on his head. Hehe, Linling, you are also a desolate son. However, you can only win 3 battles in a row like the Crown Prince of the Spirit race. Compared to me, you are still too weak. Prince Xiaoyao enjoyed the endless glory as he looked at Linling and said. Because he didn't challenge Linling before, he felt that he had missed something. Therefore he was extremely arrogant at this moment, suppressing Linling. On the ground, Linling didn't expect Prince Xiaoyao to provoke him in such an arrogant manner. He immediately laughed and said, winning 6 battles in a row. Not bad. However, in my eyes, that's all there is to it. Moreover, you can only win 6 battles in a row at most. If you fight another battle, you will definitely lose. You might even die. As soon as his words fell, the entire 100-Year Mountain was in an uproar. Winning 6 battles in a row, but in Linling's eyes, that was all there was to it? Isn't Linling a little too confident? Moreover, how could he be sure that Prince Xiaoyao's limit was 6 battles? So arrogant that I can't recognize myself. You don't know yourself. A large number of disdainful voices drifted out. Linling's strength was indeed not bad, but at most, he was on par with the Spirit Tribe's Crown Prince and the others. He was not qualified to talk about Prince Xiaoyao. How Prince Xiaoyao's face was ugly. How did Linling knew that he would lose in the next battle? And the truth was indeed so. He looked relaxed on the surface, but in reality he had suffered heavy injuries. It's better than you. Prince Xiaoyao snorted coldly and ignored Linling. That's right, I think you, Linling, are at most the same as me, the second desolate child to be eliminated. In the distance, Fallen Dust shouted extremely arrogantly. He'd been eliminated, so he really hoped that Linling would be eliminated as well. Seeing this, Linling smiled faintly. He was too lazy to talk nonsense. The 4th round of elimination gradually reached its climax. Yu and Yuer and Yuan Shizi all went up and defeated their chosen opponents. Although they did not lose a single battle, they did not win in a row. They fought one battle and rested the other. Even so, the 100-Year Mountain was still in an uproar because of them. No one expected them to be so strong. After they left, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Perhaps everyone had seen too many intense battles, so they were numb to the following battles. Until Linling went up. But in reality, after Linling went up, the 100-Year Mountain was still very calm. Some people even dozed off. Perhaps everyone thought that Linling's result was the same as Prince Zhao's. However, this result was not bad because it meant that Linling had returned to the strength of a desolate son. Linling, it's your turn. Don't tell me you can only win 3 battles in a row. Among all the geniuses, only Prince Xiaoyao said to Linling. Of course, Fallen Mortal was also adding insult to injury. Maybe you can win 1 battle at most. If you don't believe me, you can try. Facing the ridicule and provocation of the two, Linling smiled. He was too lazy to talk nonsense. Linling, ignore them. Preserving your strength is more important. Be steady and take it 1 step at a time. Win 1 battle and rest 1 battle. The 7 emperors reminded him. They were afraid that Linling would be impulsive and choose to overestimate himself and win in a row. Okay. Linling nodded slightly. Big brother, do your best. Bad guy, do your best. If you win, I'll let you go to my room. Little Flame, the 9 spirits of heaven and the others were cheering for Linling. What made them speechless was that the Fire Spirit Princess actually said, "Go to my room," as a reward. This little girl was going to be spanked. Linling shook his head helplessly. Then he went up the stage. At this moment, everyone looked at the stage. However, they were not very interested. I'll choose you. Linling did not choose a strong opponent. He casually pointed at his opponent. His opponent was from the Ghost Clan. Although he was not weak, he had been challenged too many times and was slightly injured. Now, Linling had challenged him again, which undoubtedly made him furious. Everyone challenges me. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Forget it, forget it. I'll start with you. If you want to win, I'll make you pay the price. The Ghost Clan expert landed on the stage. He had white hair and fangs in his mouth. He looked extremely ferocious. Coupled with his anger, his ferocious appearance was even more terrifying. With your strength, you think you can make me pay the price? Linling shook his head and smiled. Even if the Ghost Clan expert was at his peak, he would not be afraid, let alone when he was injured. 100 Ghost Night Howl. The old man exploded with his full strength, reaching 50,000 laws. However, as he was a rank 3 martial emperor, this amount of laws was normal. Ghosts floated in the sky and a lantern was faintly discernible. It was the spirit summoning lantern, an extremely powerful celestial weapon. Boom. The ghosts engulfed Lin Ling, causing the crowd to stare in shock. Lin Ling wouldn't lose his first opponent, would he? Even the old man was shocked. Lin Ling did not make any moves, yet he was attacked just like that? Was he stupid? Haha, I never thought that my genie clan would win a match. Soon the old man laughed excitedly. Perhaps he had lost too much, so he was now elated. Moreover, he stroked his chin and gave advice like a senior. Lin Ling, the son of desolation, rose from a cripple. This shows that he has excellent perseverance. Unfortunately, his foundation is too weak and he underestimated his opponent too much. A cultivator must know himself and know his enemy. Only then can he win every battle. It's not that you can defeat your opponent just because you're stronger. You still have to watch. Before he could finish his words, a slender figure walked out from among the ghosts. Seeing this, the old man's eyes widened. Lin Ling was fine? Thank you for your advice. However, you're still too inexperienced to play with ghosts in front of me. Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. His figure appeared in front of the old man and he threw out a punch. The Azura demon bone bloomed and the demon chi was vast and mighty. Boom. The old man was defeated with one punch. If he had not escaped quickly, he would have been smashed into pieces. Lin Ling won the first match and he won it easily. Chapter 2077. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios an unstoppable winning streak. Next, I want to see a random battle. I want to see those beauties fight. Someone shouted, already waiting for the next battle. The others were the same, thinking that Lin Ling would enter the arena. However, Lin Ling entered the arena so quickly? You're the next opponent. Something shocking happened. Lin Ling seemed to want to fight two experts in a row. Interesting. As a result, the crowd was finally interested. Could it be that Lin Ling also wanted to challenge the record? The second opponent was also seriously injured. He also came with anger. This person was from the devil race. You want to fight two battles in a row? You're not qualified. The giant from the devil race shouted angrily. Devil chi burst out majestically, corroding the huge stone martial stage. It's the 1,000 feet devil prison. I've seen his battle before. The devil chi is very terrifying. It can suppress the opponent's strength to 50%. It's going to be difficult for Lin Ling to win this battle. Many people secretly said. Lin Ling would definitely win, but it would not be easy. The devil chi was like an invisible tentacle sweeping towards Lin Ling. Azura Devil Bone. Lin Ling shot out from the devil chi. The Azura Devil King appeared and punched out. Bang. The giant from the devil race was blasted into pieces. He did not even know that he was dying. How could Lin Ling ignore his 1,000 feet devil prison? The second opponent was also defeated. At this moment, the crowd finally felt that something was wrong. Lin Ling seemed to have won two battles in a row very easily. Can he ignore the devil chi? An ancient expert said with a serious expression. What a solid foundation. I think not only is he not afraid of the devil chi, he's also not afraid of the ghost chi. Remember the first opponent from the ghost race? His soul is also useless against Lin Ling. Another expert said. So powerful? Among the four races, many people's hearts were roaring. Lin Ling was just a human. How could he gather the two great powers of the devil and ghost in his body? This person's martial arts cultivation was too strange. Third round. While everyone was still in shock, Lin Ling said with a smile. It really is a challenge record. The crowd felt as if they had been struck by lightning again. At this point, they were certain that Lin Ling was here to break the record. The third powerhouse was from the celestial race. Fortunately, this person was also an injured powerhouse. It would not take much effort to defeat him. Of course, while it was said to be a fluke, it was actually Lin Ling's deliberate choice. However, after the God race expert landed on the martial stage, he was also furious. Did Lin Ling also want to break the record? Moreover, he had chosen him as a stepping stone. Damn it, he had to kill him. You might be able to beat me, but it won't be easy. The third round is your limit. That celestial race martial artist was not old. In fact, he was a genius from the Sun God Nation who possessed the powerful sun ripple flames. His talent was definitely not weak. Furthermore, he knew that Lin Ling was indeed very powerful in the past. Even his idol, the heavenly god Nine Suns, was wary of him. Thus, he had to avenge his idol today. Come, let's see how many moves you need to defeat me. Boom. Golden flames erupted, and the martial stage began to heat up. Lin Ling, you want to win consecutively? Dream on. Unless you give up on entering the top 5 in order to break the record, it's impossible. Far away from the martial stage, Prince Unfettered shouted coldly. When he knew that Lin Ling was going to break the record, he immediately mocked him. Was the record so easy to break? Fallen Mortal's expression was ugly. Lin Ling had already won 2 rounds and he had not won a single one. In comparison, he was like trash. You must lose, lose, lose. Then Fallen Mortal roared angrily. Since Lin Ling had chosen to break the record, he naturally would not be afraid. He said frankly, it's just 6 consecutive victories. What qualifications do you have to be proud? Today I'll let you geniuses see what it means to win consecutively. When these words came out, the geniuses of various races were stirred. Lin Ling was looking down on them. What an arrogant youth. On the other hand, the humans were in high spirits. As expected, no matter where Mad God Lin Ling was, he would never be a mediocre existence. He would always carry confidence and self-improvement. Perhaps it was because of this that he could become the son of desolation. Lin Ling, you can do it. Many people clenched their fists and shouted, their eyes filled with worship. As for the 7 emperors, they smiled bitterly. Lin Ling had really chosen to break the record. How crazy. Or perhaps it could be said that at this moment, he had finally revealed his talent in the 4 races struggle. However, this was indeed the case. Lin Ling had been observing his opponents and evaluating their strength. Now he had spread his wings and soared high. Damn you, how dare you ignore me? At this moment, on the martial stage, the God Race genius held a golden flame in his hand and rushed towards Lin Ling. He realized that Lin Ling had ignored his attack and was instead talking to someone else. To him, this kind of underestimation was a great humiliation. Sun Ripple Palm. Boom. A terrifying power of law erupted. That genius's palm hit Lin Ling's body, and golden flames burned Lin Ling, crackling non-stop. So simple? That genius was stunned. He had easily attacked Lin Ling? He suddenly became excited but soon thought of something. In the previous 2 rounds, his opponent had also easily attacked Lin Ling. Could it be? I'm not ignoring you, but you are indeed too weak. Sure enough, from the golden flames, an indifferent voice floated out, followed by a punch. Boom. That fist was imbued with a scorching heat, and it directly turned that genius into dust. You are not qualified to play with fire. 9 Suns God is more like it. A soft voice floated out at the same time, shaking the 100 Years mountain. Swish, swish. Countless people stood up, their faces full of shock. Lin Ling had won again, and it seemed like he had won very easily. This guy is simply a freak. Others are strong in one field, but he seems to be strong in several fields. Yeah, ghost chi, demonic chi, and even fire immunity. Monster. I'm afraid we have underestimated him. However, he might really be able to break the record. After a moment of silence, shocked voices floated out. Bastard. Prince Xiao Yao and the other top geniuses all had ugly expressions. They could see that Lin Ling's battle was very skillful. Not only did he choose opponents who were injured, their strengths were also suppressed by Lin Ling. Therefore Lin Ling had won more easily than them. It's just a side trick. The next round will be his end. Tianzong Martial God said coldly. Lin Ling wanted to break the record, but he was still far from it. The 4th round. Lin Ling chose his opponent again. An expert from the human race had arrived. This person had white hair and a dignified appearance. He was an expert from the Saint's great domain. Moreover, this person was a hidden expert. Because he could reach the 4th round, it meant that his strength was stronger than the primeval spiritual being and the other giants. You have good taste. You actually chose me to fight. Chapter 2078. Stand out. Do you know what I relied on to get to where I am now? So far, not many people had challenged that mysterious person, but those who had challenged him had all failed. Because of this, no one had challenged him anymore. It was also because he had a type of mysterious power on his body, a power that could reflect all natural laws. He was a rather difficult expert to see through in the 4th round. Therefore, the crowd was extremely puzzled by Lin Ling's choice. I don't know, but I know that I can easily defeat you. Lin Ling said with a smile. Ignorant brat, don't think that you can disregard your seniors just because you have some ability. Let me tell you, I specialize in strength that you will never understand. The mysterious man shouted coldly, and his hands moved rapidly. Complex seals appeared and floated around him. It was extremely dazzling. At the same time, an unfathomable power spread out. Boundary Master. Among the crowd, only the older experts with extraordinary backgrounds could see through that person's methods. That's right, it was a barrier. Enchantments were extremely mysterious existences. For example, Placing enchantments on weapons could greatly increase one's strength and allow one to fight against opponents of a higher realm. Although it would take time to place enchantments in a battle, its power was obviously not weak. I cultivated in seclusion for 5,000 years to learn the sacred Ming Hall's sacred ancestral seal. This is the seal that saves the most time in the world, and its defense is extremely strong. Therefore, it's impossible for you to defeat me. The mysterious person said confidently. There seemed to be a bright light flickering above his head. You are indeed very powerful. However, I can also tell you that the reason why I chose you is because I don't need to expend any energy to defeat you. Lin Ling laughed. Playing with barriers, he was the other's ancestor. You overestimate yourself. This world is full of mysteries. There are many things you don't know. The mysterious man said with a frown. His words were filled with anger, but Lin Ling had already walked forward step by step. Moreover, his hands were moving frequently. What surprised the mysterious man was that the barriers he had set up were being destroyed one by one. There are very few things in this world that I don't know about. Even if there are, they won't appear on you. Lin Ling said with a faint smile as he continued to break the barrier. Boom. The mysterious man looked as if he had been struck by lightning. Impossible, absolutely impossible. His enchantment came from an ancient site. It was said to be the most mysterious enchantment in this world. No one knew or understood it. However, Lin Ling was just a stinky brat. How could he break his enchantment? This must be a dream. 9,999 seals. The mysterious man refused to believe it. His hands moved even more vigorously, and fragments of the barrier surrounded him. Amazing. Seeing this, the crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. This kind of method was very rare. Even the top geniuses were frowning. The barrier's domain was too mysterious. Even if they were to fight, it would be difficult for them to defeat it in a short period of time. Lin Ling can't win. The pink crown prince of the devil race shouted coldly. I'll break your 9,999 seals. However, under the gazes of the crowd, Lin Ling's footsteps did not stop. His blue robe fluttered, and a wisp of the aura of a true world spiritist filled the air. It was as if he could point at the world and control the universe. Bang bang bang. The enchantments shattered one after another. Lin Ling was like a hot knife through butter. To him, when it came to enchantments, no one could compare to Xianxia. Boom. With the last step, Lin Ling arrived in front of the mysterious man. The mysterious man's face was pale as he said in horror, How did you break my sacred ancestor seal? This was left behind by the 4 great emperors, Xianxia. He had finally exposed the origin of his enchantment. It turned out that he had learned it in an ancient site. The person who had left behind the enchantment was the legendary Xianxia. You've lost. Lin Ling shook his head indifferently. He did not explain anything. Plop. The mysterious man was stunned for a moment. Then he knelt down and said, Senior, please accept me as your disciple. Boom. Such a scene undoubtedly shook the 100-year mountain. The opponent admitted defeat and then directly became his disciple? This was the first time this had happened in the 4 clans competition. Lin Ling had won too easily. Even Lin Ling was stunned. The reason why he had chosen this opponent was because it was easy to win. However, he had not expected it to be so easy. Senior, please accept me as your disciple. The mysterious man kowtowed. He had been in seclusion for 5,000 years to learn enchantments. This meant that he had a fatal fondness for enchantments. Let's talk about it after the competition. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. This made the mysterious man smile happily. He stood up and said, Senior, the next person can challenge that guy. That guy is also a hidden expert. He came to the 4 clans competition to see the powerful techniques of the various clans. If you let him go, he can admit defeat directly. Lin Ling was even more speechless when he heard this. As for the experts around the 100-year mountain, they were also speechless. If that was the case, Lin Ling would have won 5 consecutive victories easily. Moreover, he did not even sweat during the whole process. That's an unfair victory. If that's the case, we can also make our own people admit defeat. The Pink Prince immediately roared. Bullshit. Is that person one of us? We are only subservient to Senior Lin Ling's spirit formation technique. That's all. This is a defeat without a fight. Besides, we didn't even know Senior Lin Ling before. The mysterious man sneered and retorted. However, his words were true. They were not Lin Ling's friends. They were defeated by Lin Ling's spirit formation level. That also meant that the next opponent was, in reality, the one who lost to Lin Ling's spirit formation. Ho ho, Pink Prince, you seem to be very unconvinced. Naturally, Lin Ling would not be pedantic about rules. He looked into the distance and smiled. You have indeed won with an unfair advantage, the Pink Prince said with an ice-cold expression. Is that so? If you're so unconvinced, come and bite me. After Lin Ling smiled, he lightly shrugged. His indifferent appearance instantly made the Pink Prince gnash his teeth in anger. In the fifth match, another mysterious person went up. It was an old man. Clearly he was the friend of the previous person. After he went up, he directly knelt. Senior, please give me pointers on the path of spirit formation. Without a doubt, Lin Ling won another match. The entire 100-Year Mountain was in an uproar because of that. 5 consecutive victories. He was only 1 match away from the record. In the 5th match, Lin Ling seems to have passed by luck, but in reality, haven't you all noticed? In the path of ghost, path of demon, path of fire, and path of spirit formation, he is superior to everyone. Suddenly an expert solemnly said. That made the crowd react. They thought Lin Ling was just lucky, but looking at it now, that was not the case. The reason for that was because Lin Ling was too omnipotent. He was omniscient, perfect, and omnipotent. That also meant that Lin Ling did not pass by luck. He relied on true ability. As expected of the human race's number 1 freak. On the side of the mortal realm's big shots, the experts all sighed. Then one after another, the cheers became even crazier. The human race's blood boiled, and the feeling of honor became even more intense. In the 6th match, if Lin Ling won, then the human race would have 3 record holders.